troubleshooting. Please subscribe now.
Okay, here we go. Oh shit.
Oh, Milton's a professional at
I
this.
just jumped into this. It's been so long.
How long was the last time you played this game?
5 years ago, 6 years ago.
Okay,
Maybe
that's
7 years ago, maybe. And I left Bungie.
Okay.
I was in 2016. Sorry.
Wow. It's pretty cool, isn't it?
To get this thing, I gotta kick the.
Yeah. Welcome to the man cave, my friend. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. Now I gotta get this guy out of here. Now we can.
That's so cool.
Hopefully this is being heard.
Yeah.
My voice is not the greatest voice in the world. You have a Ronald McDonald game here.
Yeah.
Donarudo.
When I saw that, and I go, where the hell did that come from? It's weird.
Donarudo Rando. Donald Land.
Donald Land, yeah.
Oh man, you know what? You gotta. I mean, I don't want to get too political, but you could take this Photoshop. You know, this is.
Oh, put. Oh.
Yeah. You could do that.
Donald Land. I see what you're saying.
That's really cool. I love how they call Ronald McDonald. What do they call it? Donald McDonald or something?
Yeah, some of that. I mean, it's an older game, right?
Oh yeah, of course.
I mean, but I didn't know this existed.
You got Mario USA, which is known as Mario 2 in the States.
Yeah, that's the one.
Mm-hmm. That's cool. It's got a pink cartridge.
Yeah.
I love how they did mold all of these old games out of different colored plastics. I thought that was very cool in the United States.
It's a great idea. Yeah. The cartridges are so different than actual what we had back home too. So
yeah.
It's kind of, why didn't they keep it the same? I don't get it.
Yeah, well, what happened was like the Famicom was not considered an appealing looking design, right? So I think they were the guy named Lance Barr, who was industrial designer for Nintendo. I think I could be totally wrong. But they kind of were like, well, we need something that looks a little more mature, an entertainment system, and so everything was redesigned around this kind of idea of removing the whimsy out of the.
These are great though. When I first saw them, they're compact, they're cheap, and I like the colorful.
They're super cool.
It's a good idea. What color do you want to use for my game? You know, Zelda. We'll make it gold. It's attractive. So
Wizardry. This is one of the earliest games that kind of influenced a lot of the RPGs. Yeah, for sure. The style of the RPGs.
That's right. I have lots of games I could have put up there. I just did it for a little decoration.
Oh yeah, it looks
because
great.
In the video you could see it between
Populous.
the stockings.
Yeah. I mean, I could talk about all this stuff for.
I was addicted to Populous for a while. Good game.
I didn't have a lot of money for games, so it's like I bought I only had
limited. No, same thing. So I had to limit what I buy, and I make sure I had the good ones I like. So these were pretty much my go-to games. I didn't actually play this one over here, but
I heard 5 is very difficult.
Okay.
I heard this was a really difficult game. I always figured this is for boring. When I was a kid, I was like, these games are for the boring people.
Yeah.
Because it looks so serious compared to something like Mario, and I was always.
No, that's the difference. This Mario kind of got limited to my brain. This took me to a next level.
Yeah, for some reason I was still drawn to really cartoony characters. I always thought those were cool to me, the cartoony stuff.
Yeah, we're also a different age by a few years though.
By a few years.
So
yeah,
I was addicted to this maybe 10 years old. I think 10, 11, 12, or whenever they came out. I was hooked to Genghis Khan. This one had me for hours and hours, man. I love the game.
I wonder who the painter was for this. I probably could find out. But yeah, these were on another level. These were games that were meant for a more sophisticated audience. Whereas I like drawing cartoony characters, so it's I liked anything that looked cartoony.
Oh, okay.
With that Japanese cartoony look, like Mega Man, or Rockman over here.
All right.
Or I can babble about the game.
No, I know. We could talk about anything for hours. Sure. I know.
We could talk about. We're going to talk about real estate, I guess. Right.
We'll talk about your experience and stuff.
Yeah,
like that.
Of course.
So, welcome to my man cave, Milton.
Well, thanks for having me, Colin.
You're welcome.
It's a very cool place.
It was a really good day. Congratulations on getting your house today. Finishing up everything.
Thank you. It couldn't have been done without you. So
appreciate
really
that.
Appreciate it. Patience and all the effort.
Yeah, it's patience and being flexible on how things.
Yeah.
Every time there's always something. Today was a new one with the bank issue. So we'll talk about that in here.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But it was really, really good. Welcome to my man cave that you got to see from my videos.
Awesome.
So
the cool thing is you probably get to hang out in here, even if you're not playing a game. probably get the hang of here as a sanctuary. So.
Oh yeah, I do. It's just wonderful. I could just sit here and stare at the walls and be happy, you know.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
I got my
It's
garden
a place.
too.
It's a special place. Yeah.
But this is where you saw my original interview with Shu. So this
Yeah,
is where he did
yeah.
it right here, like this, same style, and he just talked to me. And what do you know? My life a year later is like, now I'm.
You get strangers coming over your house.
Yeah, I never predicted that. So, yeah, you're not the first though. You're second one. Polish guy came here first, I think. Why can't I remember? Yeah, I think so.
Because we're getting old, man.
Yeah, we're getting old. You're right.
The memory
similar
goes.
Ages and similar growing up, and similar dreams of liking Japan naturally.
Yeah, for some reason.
Without knowing why, it's just your life leads you to this funnel of Japan.
Yeah, it's a very strange thing. For the people I know, it's very much the similar experience. Like, they didn't know they liked the thing. And when they were able to articulate that they liked the thing, it just happened to be that thing.
Yeah.
It's
and now
weird.
you're in it, and then you're like, oh, that's what I like.
Yeah.
So, and I just appreciate it because I didn't know.
Yeah, my wife makes fun of me all the time for
the
it.
same thing. Yeah, because she said, oh, he'll love taking another trip to Japan.
Yeah.
I'm like thinking, holy crap, I'm not the only guy then. So, but now I live here 100%, so that I just can't leave. I get homesick when I leave from here. So I'm like, I can't wait to go home, kind of thing, which is weird because I'm from Canada.
Yeah.
And you're from?
Well, I'm from a lot of places, but right now, I currently am from Texas.
Texas. Americans like to say that. Instead of saying the country they're from, they say the state they're from.
Well, yeah, it's kind of a weird
I'm from
thing.
Canada. I'm from Vancouver.
Well, the USA is...
I rarely say I'm from BC.
Right, but it would be almost like in Japan saying if you were from, I guess, Tokyo, or Kanto, or Kansai.
Yeah.
They're very kind of different attitudes about things, I imagine.
Yeah.
And so...
I guess.
Maybe there's a locality kind of thing. And it's a way to, for me at least, it's a way to describe that because America is very, not just big, but there's very regional differences in how attitudes kind of emerge.
It is.
So,
it is a big country, I give that.
It's more odd for a guy.
More people.
Yeah.
So, a lot more people. Because Canada's small, or maybe our view is smaller. Like, it's small population-wise, but a big country.
Yeah, exactly.
Not many cities.
When I imagine Canada, I think more like, it's a people, at least in Vancouver at that time, it's probably like a place where people generally have a similar way of seeing things and a similar like attitude about things in general. Whereas like there's very big differences between the way people in Texas see things and like say Washington State or Florida or New York or something like that. There's just very different things.
Texas is more like Alberta from Canada, and Washington is more like Vancouver.
And it's more accurate to say that. Because
more liberal versus conservative.
I could just say
kind of thing.
I'm from the USA.
Yeah, he's from the USA, Texas. But you originally lived in
Seattle?
Okay.
Like the Seattle area of like 15 years.
Okay.
And before that, I grew up in South Florida. So
so you've been around then.
Yeah, I grew up in South Florida. I couldn't be any further from Japan in the States.
Which place did you like the best? Or do you like the best?
It's hard to say because there's places that are very good for each their own thing. South Florida is fairly easygoing. I kind of miss it now. I used to hate the heat, but I kind of miss it now because there's just things that are very comfortable about it. Weather-wise, that kind of thing is good. Seattle has gorgeous, gorgeous summers. Really hard to beat in the summertime, like for Seattle. It's beautiful. The trees are out.
So like Vancouver then.
Yeah, it's very similar because they're not too far from each other.
Yeah, because I can't stand Vancouver any other time of the year except for summer. So
yeah, exactly. And then there's Texas where most of the year is pretty nice, but in the summer, it will melt your face off. It's like when you open a dryer and you stick your head in a dryer and that heat that just comes right off of it.
Yeah.
Think about that for like 3.5 months everywhere you go if you're not inside AC.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's like you're.
Is it similar to Japanese summer in that sense?
No, it's not nearly as sticky. So Japanese. Well, I came here the first time I came to visit in 2011. It was on my honeymoon, and we were visiting in mid-September. It was very sticky, very humid, and there's a lot of people, and so you're getting the humidity, you're getting all this body heat everywhere you go, and you're just. For me, and I wasn't nearly as chubby as I am now, but I was drenched in sweat. It was, and even then, this place is awesome. Walking around drenched in sweat, you just want to stop by everything you see here.
Yeah.
Because there's so many interesting signs, everything like that. It just catches.
It's probably because everything's more
condensed.
It's condensed. So you're not like walking for miles to see one thing where you're like, oh, are we ever going to get there? You can see so many things. So that kind of distracts you.
And I think everything is, even local economies are are kind of you know, survive off of this because of the foot traffic and the way things are.
Yeah.
So if you didn't have this level of foot traffic, a lot of these businesses and things that attract your attention couldn't even survive because you're just, you know, you're getting this attention by the sheer fact that people are just always walking around things. And so the smallest little bar could be running for many years just off of that.
Well, that's why, like I said earlier, when you said the area where you bought your house is kind of like a suburb, and where I said it's more like, it is a suburb, but it's more like it's got its own character, its own community, so it can break away from the other things. Where, like, if you're from Vancouver, if you're out in the Hicks, you're out in the Hicks.
Yeah, you know, there's no connection to,
there's no connection to that.
But here, it's like, you know, within a few minutes, you're kind of out into, you know, you have a combini around.
Yeah.
You have something where you can, you know, for your life things that you got to do to, you know, there's a store that you can get things. You know, you go back home within a reasonable amount of time, and so you can operate and function without having to be right in the heart of someplace like Tokyo.
Yeah, but it's also just each area has its community.
Yeah, absolutely.
People don't need to leave there to feel like they're home. They can still be with each other like a village. You know, it's cool like that. And I've even feel that way living where I live. It's like I don't need to go anywhere anymore. I feel comfortable here. You know.
Yeah.
So, and you don't realize that because I got to be in the big city all the time. You're thinking until you're not, right? But
it's not like the difference of, like, let's say Tokyo is New York and this place. I'm just using it as an example. Like, if this place was, I don't know, the plains in the Midwest. Yeah. Compared to Tokyo, it's not that. It's almost like Tokyo is New York, but at the same time, whatever is around here is just another train stop away from being this close to, like, Manhattan or something.
Okay. So what would this be, like Brooklyn or something like that, or?
A little bit of that. A little bit, maybe, maybe, you know, maybe Brooklyn, like a much nicer Queens.
Nicer Queens, okay.
Like a much nicer Queens, not the one where you get stabbed.
Yeah, okay.
You know, it's a very stab-less Queens.
Okay.
It's got its character.
Not New Jersey then.
No.
Okay.
Maybe, not New Jersey.
I have never been there, so I'm just looking. The map looks pretty tight.
Yeah.
So, but somebody was telling me yesterday you could drive from New York to Philadelphia, or Pittsburgh, sorry, in 2 hours or something, or Pennsylvania, is it? One of the two.
The tri-state area,
Yeah, so I was like, holy crap, that's a lot of cities in one area. So.
Yeah, it's a big area, but you're not too far from the things that people enjoy about living in the big city. You also have it on a smaller scale in these kind of outer places. Yeah. Whereas, like, in the States, you have things that are really condensed, like a large concentration in the big cities for a lot of things, like, you know, like, say, like food, eating, and entertainment, all that stuff. And then it's there, and that's it. And you're living in the middle of nowhere. You don't have access to a lot of things. But here, it's like you can have access to a lot of the same things. You know, you don't have to go into Tokyo, I imagine, very often.
No, don't have to.
Which is the great part about it.
I go in for once in a while, but I don't have to go.
Exactly. You go if you want to go.
If I want to go, yeah.
Or you're meeting someone, you know, someone recognizable, like, okay, meet by this place.
Yeah. There's no point, right?
Yeah, it's not like Tokyo's the only place that has, like, you know, Famichikis or anything like that. You can just go over Family Mart.
I got a 7-Eleven 30-second walk from my house.
Exactly. So. And they fry
and a Family Mart's a minute walk. Okay, a minute.
Exactly. So it's not like they only have one thing. You generally have the same things around. So it makes the decision to, like, move to, like, kind of an outer area because of, like, economic factors and stuff like that, and makes it much more appealing because, like, you have the ability. Yeah, you have a home, but you also have the things that are nice about the city, but also near you.
That's right. So you get the nice balance.
Without also, you know, one of the, I guess I'm not knocking anything, but one of the little frustrations I have is I'm waiting, like, let's say I'm like someone like Harajuku, like I was yesterday, and the walk from point A to point B generally will not be too long, but because there's so much crowdedness, it takes like 5 times as long because I'm just shuffling my way across.
And that gets frustrating.
Yeah, in a place like this, it's a little bit more open and free. Yeah. You we rode the bikes. You can just, like, kind of ride around. Yeah. And you're not stuck very often kind of doing that because of this smaller, you know, kind of sub-city vibe kind of thing, you know. And it's really lovely. Like, it's, you know,
it's not a strenuous stress. I mean, after I stopped using I love trains, but some of those trains, when they're super packed, it's kind of stressful at times. You're rushing through stations like that. So I was like, I don't miss that.
I have to think, like, and this is just me guessing, that many people, you know, kind of being smashed together. There's almost like you have to disassociate you have to kind of like mentally disassociate yourself from that community of people around you, and so you have a little bit of this isolation.
Yeah.
But maybe a place like this, like with the neighbor we met outside, she was able to just talk briefly.
Yeah.
Like normal people would do in America, right? And that seems like something that doesn't happen as often when you get to these areas, even in the States that are with lots and lots of people. They kind of more mentally want to just
get it over with, and you get frustrated. That's why
exactly
you lose your meaning of life in that. So I didn't like that. So, but like I said earlier, it's like you want that middle ground where you want everything inside the suburb. If you go too far out, you're not going to get anything, and if you go too tight, you're going to too much. So
exactly,
you got to find that balance in here. And whatever kind of person you are, you can adjust to that as well. But some people like that coffee shop on every second street. They want to sit outside. Whatever, good for them. They can do that. And some people like living in the woods. It's good for them. It just like depends what you like.
Yeah, but this like places
but if you like
this might
both,
be a blend.
This is a blend.
You can go just a little bit out, and then you have those things.
That's right.
And that's
exactly my point. I'm
like
30 minutes from Tokyo.
Cost.
That's right. I'm like 30 minutes from Tokyo or 30 minutes from the jungles. So, and even bicycles, when we rode our bikes, you can see how fast it went from city to almost nothing to barely anything. To have the peacefulness, little farmlands, little things out in the, it's like, this is gorgeous. It's fresh air. It's idyllic. It's like you can go for strolls and just be happy, know?
I mean, places like this, I'll say, are like the kind of places you see, I know this is going to be like kind of weeboo thing, but in an anime, when you see the character kind of doing their daily things, this is the kind of place those things happen in.
Yes.
Those things don't always happen in like a place like Tokyo, like in the heart of Tokyo.
Exactly, and that's what gives me nostalgic is the word. Just by walking around.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we crossed over on the bicycles over the river, and those are the kind of things you'd see captured in a lot of these older shows. Yeah. And they live their life in these kinds of places instead of kind of this more this really pack thing like
condo. I get that. That's what I found naturally. I mean, everybody changes. Some people like living in the busy city. I tried it for a couple years, but I realized, nah, I want my space. And that's why I keep telling people, like 30 minutes from the station for me was a nice balance because it gave me that peacefulness, but being not too far away.
Yeah.
So that's why I chose. Plus, you get great bang for your buck.
Oh, yeah.
Value, right? So
exactly. I mean, people want to live some people want to live right in the heart of the city, but you know what? Everything has its drawbacks and its benefits, and I think a balance is what we really want to strike because, money is not an infinite resource. Time is not an infinite resource. So you have to balance like the time to do things versus the money you're willing to spend doing those things, and what you're willing to save or spend. And a good balance is, hey, instead of being an hour away from something that you want to be, you're maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes away.
Yeah.
But it's also at a fraction of the cost versus you either go too far one way. Have a beautiful house in the middle of nowhere. Yeah. Or you have, something not as free feeling that you want to live in the middle of in the heart of the city. So there is there's compromises that can be made positively.
And everybody matches it to what they like. So I mean, I give them my advice, but people choose what they like in the end of the day.
Absolutely.
Some people just don't see things until they're actually heard it. Oh, that makes a good point. Like, and then they can start considering that, right? Especially when they don't know anything about the specific country they're buying in. If they come to Japan, a lot of people they hear Japan's cheap and they love it, but they actually haven't lived here. Yeah. So they can't actually pinpoint what area or what I like or stuff like that. So I give them that advice.
Exactly. You can fill in those gaps because because you've been here so long, you understand very clearly what motivates people to be where they are.
Exactly. So, I don't know every area, but I can give you a general thing that almost everything operates the same way. Every city has its same little things, but with its nooks and crannies of little mom and pop shops that are unique to that area, which I can't research, right? You just know they're there somewhere if you look hard enough. But they all have their staples as well.
Exactly. So you're always going to see the words Aeon and Atre everywhere. So
Matsuya.
Exactly. You'll be fine.
Moss Burger.
Exactly. So McDonald's and KFC even.
And Family Mart. Yeah. It is there. So I mean that's.
So if you're nostalgic and you miss those things, even you can easily access those things. At least as a foreigner, if you're living here. Yeah. You can access those things that you do want and you might miss. Yeah. It's not too difficult to do that. So.
It's like my friend Steve. He says he prefers living out in the middle of nowhere, but he says all he really needs is a good coffee shop, and a movie theater. And he's like, and he's happy, and everything else is obviously going to be there. So he's like, as long as one's within the reason, he's like, I'm cool. So
yeah, exactly.
So whatever floats your boat, they say. So
obviously, I like pastries. So There's a lot of pastry
There's
shops
a lot of bakeries.
A lot of bakeries in Japan.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
A
you're
lot.
lucky there.
Yeah,
It's
this is like
it's too much.
the paradise of European pastries here.
It
it's
is
kind of funny.
It is funny, isn't it?
Yeah.
Everybody comes over and says that. My sister loves it too.
But many years ago, I remember it was like here in Japan, it was like a huge proportion of Michelin star rated restaurants because of the attention to detail in the cooking.
Here in France, right?
They were actually outdoing the French for a while.
Yeah, I think it was
because of the perfectionism.
The most Michelin stars or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And that also kind of percolates down to your average thing. You go to 7-Eleven, you're getting pastries or whatever that are really inexpensive, but the quality and the taste it beats most things I find in the States for the cost.
No.
It's like
that's the whole point. The cheap stuff here is still tastes like it's almost up there. It's great.
Yeah.
It's just amazing.
Sometimes it's better than the thing that I paid $6 for.
Yeah.
For
100%. When I went to Seattle for that one vacation to watch that concert, my friend bought a pastry in a little shop. It was how much was it? $7 American, I think, which is like 1,000. And I'm thinking, and it was like this. I'm like, dude, I have money, but It made me feel sad inside. It didn't look that great.
Being like at least visiting here at least once or twice gives you a lot of perspective on the value of where your money goes for a lot of things, especially with this real estate thing right now. But when you think about that, there's also peripheral stuff like people live their lives. They have to have access food and utilities, clothes, and all those things kind of fit together with this. And I'll be honest, the tipping culture in America, the tipping culture here, very different. And the value proposition is made very apparent when you spend a little bit of time here.
Yeah, there's a lot of value here.
There's a tremendous amount of quality, attention to detail, on average for things.
Yeah,
and the cost is fair.
It's crazy. You're getting a fair price with the best goods.
Yeah, awesome stuff.
Yeah, and it's total great value. You're paying way more in North America, and some of it's crap. Simple thing is McDonald's. The McDonald's here, if you open up a burger, you're like, oh, that's pretty well done. But you open up in Canada, you're like, I'm not eating that anymore. You don't want to eat it. It's just like, it's a night and day difference. And my nephew came to visit. He's like, holy crap, the McDonald's here is actually pretty good. I'm like, and it's McDonald's.
It's got good stuff here.
And it's half the price.
Half the price. And it makes you think, like, why am I spending all this money? Like, I know I sound like an old man, but I'm like, I come back and I'm like, why am I spending all this money for this one small thing? Plus this amount of tax on top of it, plus this amount of tip on top of it.
Yeah.
And I got a fraction of what
I would have gotten in Japan.
Yeah, exactly. And this kind of actually kind of segues in really perfectly into this, this kind of real estate discussion because of that value proposition. So
it brings you to that. What scares me is will it end?
Well,
because of the push from the Western countries and stuff to change the way Japan is, to get on the same page like that.
Yeah, I fear,
because things have gone up.
Yeah,
not like that though. So
exactly. Unfortunately, like I've partaken in this like investment journey.
Yeah.
I mean, I really truly am fascinated by this country, like truly fascinated. But even I at the expense of sounding like a hypocrite, I do fear that the atmosphere of the things that make this country great are put into lots of jeopardy when like a bunch of people like me come into, and see these great opportunities here. And so I feel maybe a little bit conflicted, but I
do too as a foreigner introducing people.
I want to participate in this because I do genuinely, I'm not just seeing this as dollar bills.
Yeah, me too.
It's not just like, hey, this is, I can use some arbitrage or some way to, get an edge, financially. It's just like, it's just a way to say, oh, I'm participating in a way in this country, but, I want to do the best I can to respect the people here that have, that have cultivated
their country. I struggle with the same thing myself. It's tough, I introduce people, I help people buy houses here, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't want to ruin your country. So it's like, at least I get to choose who I'm helping.
Yeah, exactly. It's really tough. It's, and if you didn't have that kind of conflict, then there may be something else that's wrong with you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You want, at the very least, you want people who really love this to be here. If they're going to be here, they have to really love this place. They don't just see it as a stepping stone for their personal gain all the time. I understand you want to make a better life for yourself and live this place, but at the same time,
You gotta.
It would be ideal if the person that's, people that are here really love it. Just really love it.
Yeah, because if enough people track mud into the country, it's going to become muddy.
Yeah.
Right? So you got to be really cautious of that. Look what happened to Canada, and I see that. It's just too many people coming in at too fast of a rate, and housing issues and everything going on there, right? So
exactly. And the worst part, the most heartbreaking part is, let's say if like, a million of me and my buddies came here. This is just an illustration. I wouldn't feel any need to even try to even learn a lick of the language, because I would just be talking to my buddies all the time.
Right.
It would be like me in a classroom, and all my friends are in the same classroom. I'd be just talking to my friends, and I really wouldn't be caring what the teacher says or what any other students to make friends with any other students.
Yeah.
And so you kind of have to balance. Like we always talk about balance. Have that feeling of, not just retreating to your own comfort zone. Yeah. So that's what can happen when it's like so, imbalanced that way.
No, 100% agree with you. All right, so what got you started on this journey for buying a property in Japan?
Well,
or like why you like Japan to begin with? Get into all that. So.
Well, why I like Japan. It's a long thing. All I know is I'm trying to condense it into everything I ever liked, because I draw, or I do art for a living.
Where do you work, by the way?
I work at a company called.
Never heard of them.
Yeah, they used to be known as. And I used to work for a video game, a pretty famous video game company.
You're my second client that works. It's insane.
So I was a video game artist.
Client number one.
As a video game artist, and everybody else that I ever know, every one of them has been to Japan at least once. So it is a place where artists congregate, because the level of craftsmanship, the level of technique and style is really like world class, innovative, and a lot of people can learn from things. Like, at least for us game artists, like look at the work that's been created previously. And be inspired by it and learn from it. So naturally, we come here and want to, be in this kind of atmosphere.
So maybe he was the same thing you're saying, my other client? He wasn't a designer, though.
Like a lot of nerds like to come to Japan. Because
I guess.
It's like a nerd wonderland.
And funny enough, he messaged me out of the blue when we were checking out the house today, your house. I thought it was funny.
Exactly.
I didn't actually respond to him. I forgot. I was supposed to tell him that. But he'll be happy to hear that. Well, you're in the video now.
Yeah.
Hello, Fred.
I think if you want to really condense it as to why I was interested in Japan in the first place, it would be Sunstreaker from the original 1984 lineup of the G1 Transformers. I didn't know anything. I was a 5-year-old kid. It just said "Made in Japan," and I remembered. I asked my mom, "Is Japan where it was made in Japan? That must mean Japanese. In Japan there must be a lot of Transformers." And obviously my mom was probably like, "Nah, not really." And then I grow up and realize, yes, it is full of Transformers. Go to any mandarake in the back room, and there's like more than you could ever hope to see.
Yeah.
So
we both like Transformers.
I love Transformers.
Yeah. I had the original movie on VHS.
Yeah, it traumatized me as a kid. So it taught me a lot of life lessons.
Yeah.
That the world is not fair.
I used to run home from school to watch that stuff. That was great stuff. Every episode. That and DuckTales. Sorry.
Yeah, the Disney lineup was very strong. I think there was some Japanese animation production involved. I think with Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers.
That was pretty good.
Yeah, there was like Tailspin, Rescue Rangers, DuckTales, and I forgot the last one. But yeah, there was like a whole lineup of these Disney cartoons. Gargoyles.
I also like Smurfs.
Smurfs was fun in the 80s, but then I realized everything I ever liked was just robots.
Yeah.
Like transforming robots.
Yeah. Transformers was the best, though.
Transformers was the best, but like Voltron, which is known as Gorion, so that was animated by Toei. Yeah. So everything I ever liked was Japanese.
Oh, so you didn't notice up there? Oh.
There's a Starscream?
That's correct.
That's, hold on a second. This is is that Earthrise? Is that an Earthrise Starscream? I think it's an Earthrise.
Okay.
So he'll pop his legs out. He's a little midgetized.
You gotta,
you gotta.
So I just saw that at a local used shop. I'm like, $10, done.
Yeah, this is a really cool version of Starscream because it's got the Earthrise design aesthetic, which is a little more chunky IDW like, but they're using some of the transformation mechanics from the Masterpiece collection. Okay. So I'm a big masterpiece Transformers
It's
collector.
funny how you're here on this day that I have this. It's like it's all meant to be.
It's all meant to be.
My favorite Transformer was probably Soundwave and the Constructicons. I love putting that green giant together. I had 2 sets of it.
They have a lot of versions of Devastator. Now.
Devastator. Oh,
yeah, Devastator was
too.
that was the combined form of the Constructicons.
Oh, wait a minute. What did, I had that. That's okay.
Devastator is a big robot.
What's the one that turned into a train station or train or tracks?
The little thing? That's a Mega Supreme.
Okay, I had that as well.
I know a little bit about Transformers. Not an expert like all the guys on the internet.
I'm a lot older now, so I forgot. But I had so many. My mom threw them all away when she got angry at me, which is sad because I had a good collection. That and GI Joe.
I broke mine, so it's not that much difference.
It sucks.
And then later, as an adult, I was like, you know what? I like these things. Let me buy them. Mm-hmm. And then then I started collecting the movies, and I don't like the Michael Bay ones. I only like the ones that are kind of made by Takara.
It's too much.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
It's too shredded.
It's too shredded. Yeah, I don't.
It's so ugly. Everything's so ugly. But Bumblebee is a good movie.
Yeah.
And Transformers 1 was excellent.
Okay.
Sorry,
we're getting off topic here again.
Yeah, we're going to talk about real estate again.
Okay, sorry.
I can ramble about.
But I'm sure the people here interested in real estate in Japan are also interested.
Yeah, a lot of times, it's a lot of artists love Japan.
Yeah, it's a combination of the
comic
things.
artists, video game people, even a lot of engineers. They just are fascinated with this country. There's a lot of reasons, you know. Also, I don't look like it now, but I did martial arts for a while, like Japanese martial arts and traditional jiu-jitsu forms. So it's all the roads lead back here. So
some of us are just like that. It seems like
I think some people are just kind of wired that way.
Yeah, it's just weird how that works out. I could never plan this. If you asked me today, would I be here? I'd be like, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah.
And here I am. I was like, I've been here longer than I lived in my native country of Canada. 25 years in Canada, or here, and 23 in Canada. Mm-hmm. That's insane.
Yeah.
To think about it. So anyhow, yes, okay. So you like Japan because of something you read on a robot.
I like the martial arts here. I like the design. I like the aesthetics. I like the aesthetics around the food. Yeah. I like the colors that they generally tend toward. They love like kind of this beige and indigo kind of combination. Mm-hmm. You can see it in traditional tapestries, stuff like that. I like the way the philosophy around packaging, just the care and attention put into things, and a sense of perfectionism.
Yeah.
And I think in a line of work like I do, you want to try to pursue that. You want to be better than you want to constantly improve.
Yeah, and that's what they do. They take an idea and they try to prove it as much as they can.
Yeah, they distill it and they fix it and they keep working at it until, it may not be always perfectly innovative, but it will always be condensed and rich and beautifully done. So
okay,
I love that generally about the things that have driven me here. So
okay, is that what made you want to buy a house here, or something else drew you to
it? It's because of this. It's in this special place, and so just kind of mentally, buying a place here kind of puts you there. Even if it's just by your thoughts, you can you've kind of attached yourself a little bit.
So you own a piece of that paradise, is what you're saying. Like
in a way,
you feel like you're part of that loving system,
right?
I get your feeling on that. That's how I felt when I bought my second property, my first house. My condo, I kind of felt like it, but when I bought my actual first physical land and house, that's when I felt like, wow, I own a piece of Japan now. That's so cool, and they're not going to take it from me.
Yeah, exactly. And not like the States, where you buy your house and you have a lot of property taxes that will just completely destroy you. If you don't pay it, then your house is gone anyways. So it feels also, the way the real estate is here, that there's a little bit more of a sense of ownership of if you buy a place, even though if you're paying municipal taxes or whatever, but it feels like you own more of it.
Yeah. They want you to be part of the community. That's why.
Yes.
And they're not trying to milk you. They're trying to make you just do your part.
Yeah.
So you're not paying $10,000 for your property tax. You're paying $1,500 or whatever, paying up your place. So, which is your part. They try to make everything to the detail to be fair, which I really like. They're not trying to rip you off, which is cool.
It also feels like they're trying to build like a kind of like an alignment between all parties, so that you want to work together for the same thing.
That's
it's kind of designed maybe by these policies and stuff, even at the taxation level. Like, hey, these improvements or this thing that you do here. We're not going to make it so difficult, but we want to encourage those behaviors, and so
that's what they do. They encourage people to pay and do all that kind of stuff, and even help you. So. and they don't try to gouge you or milk you on that stuff,
Yeah.
which is good. So you can actually survive.
Exactly. I mean, we were just, you know, purchasing this thing as cash, but you know, even looking at, you know, if you're a native here, you have a opportunity to probably get a loan. The interest rates are like remarkably low for that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So
And the loans aren't that big anyways. So
exactly. So which is you know, it's a benefit to all parties.
That's
so.
right. That's what they want. Mm-hmm. So, and that's what keeps the new houses keep being produced as well, right? They have a nice turnover rate of things moving, right? So people complain about all the empty houses.
Oh,
It's just like because people are buying new houses, it'll recycle itself.
Yeah,
it'll
it's
happen.
kind of funny because, like, you know, on one hand, I love the fact that they also have a standard. Like, I know this sounds so dirty, but it's got there's a standard here that's so high in some things.
Yeah.
That, like, even if they don't think it's worth their time to, like, live at a place, or this place they just want to get rid of.
Yeah.
I'm coming here and I'm like, I've seen way worse places. This is lovely to me. This is just wonderful. Why would you ever leave this abandoned, or why would you want to do that? And you know, on one hand, I'd like it to stay that way because it benefits some of us who are interested in this kind of stuff. But at the same time, as you know, coming from the States, you're like, these are amazing things. Why would anybody want to not live in a house like this?
It's
so wonderfully
bizarre,
maintained.
isn't it?
Yeah, and the depreciation aspect of the thing on one hand, but also your rental income, all that stuff kind of balances.
Well, people try to simplify it with simple tag words and stuff like that. I'm like, come on, man. Oh, it's never going to appreciate over all these things. They try to just negatively, like, just ignore that.
There's a lot of things that are very positive right now. One is because
things can change.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you have three things. You have a couple things working in your favor right now. One is the exchange rate, which immediately builds in
that's like free equity.
A lot of equity.
Yeah.
You also have the rental income potential, which is your cash flow, and then you also have the potential for appreciation. Because yes, even if this traditionally was a depreciating asset market, if enough people understand this to be the place, you know, this may be one of the few places left that people really are just excited to be living here.
Yeah.
And that I think will inevitably draw people here, and then you'll see that.
Yeah. And that's what causes change.
Exactly.
You got to buy low, sell high. Can it get any lower than it is now? Not likely.
It's not likely.
Not likely. It's pretty damn low. And plus the exchange rate makes it even feel like it's lower. So these are just things that are quite obvious. And you could focus on negative things and this and that, but like, no. Come on, man. Things can change. Suddenly, the opposite could happen. An expensive place can become crap. You don't know. Absolutely. Would you rather invest in something overpriced and have it become crap, or be low and have it go up?
Exactly.
Like, okay. It's
on one hand, you have to think like a rational capitalist. Yeah. On the other hand, you know, you got to divorce your feelings from what is practical sometimes.
Of course. But a lot of people just don't want to think. They just want to go with these other Joes were thinking, and then like, okay, you just do that then.
Yeah.
And then when you see it happen right, you still keep making excuses why you missed out on the opportunity. You know, it doesn't mean just jump in. It means you just keep an open mind. You know, and you got to notice when things are there. I mean, and also when you're buying a house for a lot cheaper, if you don't get a tenant, I'm not stressed because A, it's not that big of a risk, and B, you don't have a massive loan on it, so you're not like, oh, I got to get somebody in there to pay for my place, and there's no strata fees, so.
Yeah, you're generally if it's at the rates that are now, you can generally acquire the property, and it's you're fully paid for it already. So your other outboard costs are kind of minimal if there's no tenancy just yet.
Just your taxes.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
It, you know, it's safe. So even when I don't have a tenant in one of my houses, I'm like, who cares? I'm not stressed anymore.
Yeah, the only thing is you want to maintain it so it's not smelly.
Yeah,
like
that's about it.
Over time, you can get like that, and maybe the humidity here. But yeah, I mean, you know, but also like all things, the economy here can go up and down at any point in time because, you know, the first time I visited here in 2011, it was, you know, I'll tell you, it was painful on a financial situation because it was 64 yen to the dollar or something like that. It was really expensive to do anything here. We still went because I always wanted to visit Japan. I came here on my honeymoon.
American dollar to yen was that much at that point?
$1 American to
Wow.
64, 65
Wow,
yen.
so it's the complete opposite now.
Exactly the opposite.
So there's your answer. When's a good time to do it? You know?
Yeah, and I was like, well, first of all, that would have been buying a place. If I was thinking like 2011, it would have been an impossibility, impossible.
Okay.
And this was right after the Fukushima disaster.
Okay, so basically, even though prices went up here, you're still actually getting it cheaper than you would back then, because if something went up here 40, 50%, the exchange rate is that much different.
It was like night and day.
Wow.
And but at this point, I'm like, if I don't get this at least one thing right now, which it's satisfying more than just like, hey, this is investment. This is a piece of it, right?
Yeah.
It will unlikely to have an opportunity to do this. It's very rare.
Yeah.
And with every passing moment, I feel like that opportunity fades little by little.
No, you're right. You're right. If something good is there, you got to take it, man. There was a Japanese phrase a few years back called "ima desho."
Now, but
it's like there was a commercial about I wanted to study English, and the answer was "ima desho." Now, right?
Yeah.
Because if you just keep prolonging that, you're never going to do it, and you're going to miss the opportunity to be like, oh, you're going to be kicking yourself in the bum, So who knows? Because nobody can say when that can end.
Yeah.
You want a home. And in Japan, you have the safest country in the world, and you have the cheapest housing for a first world country like this. It doesn't make sense. Where would you want to live and raise your family?
Exactly. And I mean, I hate to use this phrase. That's from another popular YouTubing channel, but this guy says, "Go where you're treated best."
Yeah.
And I can't think of for the things I like, I can't think of a better place than here.
Yeah, that's how
it feels like there's whatever people look at me funny sometimes, but whatever. I'm funny looking.
You're funny.
I'm funny looking.
Yeah.
So,
but they don't try to hurt you.
They don't try to stab me.
Yeah.
Or
rob
burn
me,
you,
or rob you, or rip you off, or things like that. You're just you.
And the professionalism.
You're amusing.
I think also the professionalism here, the way they approach the things they do.
Yeah.
They do it because this is the way. They're not trying to scam you. They're not trying to do anything else. They have a sense of pride in their professionalism as well. So
100%. I mean, you saw that today with all the agents and how it worked. Even the seller, how polite he was, and
he was incredibly polite. So I was honored that he was so patient with me. I had to, while you were at the bank with Harada-san, I was like, me and my very, very, very baby broken Japanese, I'm trying to hold a conversation with 3 other Japanese men, which is very difficult and embarrassing sometimes because I can only use a couple of words, and then I have to I'm always apologizing for how badly I'm speaking. So that's just me, though. I apologize for those stupid things.
It's fine. It's cute. They enjoy it. All right, we're getting off topic here.
I know. I can ramble about everything.
It's fine. I love rambling. It's fun. There's so many great things to talk about, and you got a lot of information.
You can edit this anyway to make it more tight too.
I'm not going to edit shit, man.
Okay.
I'm not even going to edit that. That was a curse word for all you sensitive people out there.
Okay.
So it's fun. People want real things. They don't want they want the real stuff. So
okay. Well, I ramble a lot, so
it's fine. Well, so anyhow, so you wanted a house here, and what pushed you over to the edge here? Were you watching some videos? Or
we watched a couple of videos. We saw one with another guy that you appeared with called Shu, but I was really
with my interview.
Yeah, your interview. But then I realized, we were listening to some of the things you said. There was a subtext, and the way you were saying certain words in Japanese, and I knew like you are very much invested in because you spoke the language so well, and we felt that listening to that you were a person who was really invested in this country, not just from gaining things, but you were invested in being a part of this community. Here. Yeah, being a part of this community, and so I understood that to be a good thing. My wife had very positive intuitions about it, so we reached out to you. You were probably the least pretentious person we had seen, and
normal, down to earth. You mean?
Normal, down to earth. Yeah. You have all this stuff here. Obviously, this kind of aligns.
Yeah, I don't fake to be some gas.
Yeah.
prune or whatever. You know, it's like,
Yeah, you know, it's better than just like a guy that's like, I only read books in a you know in a corner. In
what
my
do you
house.
mean, man?
Yeah.
This is the best thing in the world.
Exactly.
I can't do that. That just, it drives me
Yeah,
nuts.
I mean, this is also evidence when we did a walkthrough later, and we'll allude
Yeah.
to this, how you're like, you know, you're kind of balancing some of the things. I might have a reaction, and then you're like saying, yeah, you maybe need to do this, and maybe want to do this for like things like repairs or not, if there are to
Yeah.
be made, and keeping things kind of in line.
Yeah.
So
keeping it real and down to earth,
exactly,
keeping-
exactly. This is
I'm not afraid to say what needs to be said 90% of the time.
Yeah.
You leave 10% for
you want
leeway,
yeah. I mean,
flexibility,
we really like you because you're leveling with us.
Yeah.
In a realistic way, because
Yeah.
the worst thing you can have is someone who sells you dreams and hopes and all that
Yeah.
stuff, and it's completely divorced from reality, and your expectations are now like completely distorted. And then when reality is is you're presented with reality, you're like disappointed.
Yeah.
And this way, I felt like I'm leaving this whole experience very positively, even from after the signing.
Yeah.
I had a really good feeling. And
I direct you. That's why.
Yeah.
I direct you, but you still have to make the decisions yourself. So so it's like a working together situation.
Yeah,
not feeling
exactly.
pressured, but I'm naturally like that. But another reason I became like that is because 90% of the crap I watch there in YouTube or whatever in life is all gaslighting. It's all that sales kind of mentality. I'm like, do people like this stuff? And I try to discuss it with some of my friends. They're like, that's just the way the world works, man. You got to be like that if you want to be successful. You got to be more professional or proper or all this stuff. I'm like, can't you just be real? Because when I watch stuff, I like the real people that I can see, talk to, relate to, and ask questions to, and feel like they're going to be humble with me and give me normal answers, And that's what I look for in things. So I can't relate to that world, and that's why another reason I became like that as well. I'm like, I'm not going to change who I am, Like it's.
I think most rational people will pursue someone who's realistic about things.
Yeah.
They'll pursue authenticity.
So you're saying I'll attract clients or customers that
I think you
appreciate who I am.
I think you tend to attract people that are realistic in their expectations, that are kind of aligned with the goals of what you're presenting here, and so the people you work with are going to be have naturally going to have an attitude towards this transaction and this kind of buying this property, and the way they see things as not just sinking your money somewhere, but this is something entirely more than just that.
Yeah, it's more than just that, exactly. But can you sense when other people are trying to gaslight you or just do that? Hey, everybody.
Yeah, there's definitely for a lot of YouTubers, there's definitely a sales aspect to it, or just trying to paint a picture that this is amazingly easy. It was fairly simple because Colin made it simple. You made it simple, but like. They make it sound like it's like a walk in the park, easy, boom. Your money's here, or you're building this dream house, this and that, and there are a lot of things that are also that come with that that you're not
and it's not easy.
That you're like on our first meeting, you're like, hey, you can get these places, but you're also going to be in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah,
and you were kind of gave us a rundown on the real differences of what what an Akiya represents.
Yeah,
because it could be a lot of things. At least in this vernacular, it can mean anything from like just an old apartment to a house in the middle of nowhere to whatever unoccupied property.
There's a lot of details and a lot of numbers and things behind all these decisions. It's not that easy, but I just know how to sum it all up and make it work and adjust to what needs to be done when I do it. And obviously, one of the biggest things is working with the agent. Like when I went in to do the contract for you, he's like told me truthfully. He's like, "Yeah, you're lucky that you were there because we would have never even bothered."
Exactly, because Colin's command of Japanese is really good, and they are feeling comfortable.
Yeah, and it's the personality too. They like that.
Yeah, they like
that down to earth and crack the jokes. Yeah,
you give them a way that they can you give them an outlet so they can kind of express.
It works with 90% of them.
Decompression here.
Some don't. Some get like
some of them are very
Yeah, they're too retentive. But no, that's the biggest thing when he told me. I was like, the problem is that a lot of foreigners like you will never know that because they will never tell you that. They'll just be polite and say sorry, or they will ignore your message. They won't tell you, sorry, we don't understand you. It's too difficult to work with you and stuff like that. Because the Japanese don't like the directness of like that stuff.
Yeah.
So me being persistent, you know, when we made our first offer, and it just felt like he wasn't going to take me seriously. And then I came back to, I recalled him. Remember, I went out, I recalled him just to say, look, I'm sorry. I apologized to him. I said, this is what we didn't know. All these things were happening because we didn't know all the details of the house at the time. So it's not our fault, 100%. But who cares whose fault it is? I went back and apologized for our original, I don't want to say lower offer.
Yeah, it wasn't a super lowball offer, but it was lower.
It was lower.
Because, you know, as a buyer, you're incentivized, or you want to get it as you know, you want to reduce the cost as much as possible, but at the same time, if it's at the expense of insulting the seller, you know, you don't want to do that.
No, because you don't know the situation.
We didn't know the situation, and so
there's a lot of things we found out after about it. Actually,
you called them up, and you know, kind of got to the heart of the matter.
Yeah.
And then we were set to. We went right there like almost midnight or something.
It was insane.
It was really late.
We went insane. His heart changed like that. He's like, "Yep, okay. You want to make a serious offer?" And I said, "Yeah. Can we do it tonight?" And he was like, at first, and he's like, "Yep." He jumped in his car and we met him at the office. And I biked there. You
biked there in the middle of the night just to go to the office.
And I beat them there.
They beat
They took a taxi. It was like. It was pretty far, actually. It was, how many kilometers? I wonder what that was.
I can't remember, honestly, but it was like, far enough that we had to take a taxi. Obviously, we couldn't walk.
Was it like 8 kilometers, or was it 7, 6, 8?
What station were we at? We were at
Aijuku.
Aijuku.
And we came all the way up to, past Higashioto, down to the middle of nowhere. So, yeah, it was quite far. I can't believe I beat you there.
Yeah, and then we were there for a little while because we were signing the stuff.
Yeah.
And, it was amazing. You know, you were... Also, there's all these other contract situations because we're buying here.
We'll go in order of the stuff that happened. Then.
Yeah, exactly.
So basically, you thought I was the man for you, and then you decided.
My wife was really impressed with that because my wife is, for lack of better words, is no bullshit person.
Oh, so she's like me then.
She's like I can tell when I talk. But I'm not married to you, so.
But I know how when she first talked to me, I'm like, okay, she's right to the matter.
She's very much direct, and
I like that. Direct but kind.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? You're not being rude, like gimme.
Exactly.
You're just like not. It's get rid of all the bullshit and just keep it.
Because
what's the word?
Exactly. Compact? Because also, in the States, we've had enough experiences buying and selling homes over the years that we just want to deal with somebody who we can trust. Somebody who will tell us things honestly, and so I think we found the best relationships with people that do that for us. Because you were the guy. We saw the video, like, okay, I like the fact that you speak Japanese and you really cared about becoming truly fluent in the language. So
yeah, that was an important part of it. So she's the one that saw the videos originally.
Originally, yeah.
Okay, she's like, "This is the dude.
This is the guy." Yeah.
Okay, this is the guy.
She's like, "Milton, I found the guy."
Yeah, because when she came out to the restaurant and we were eating dinner the first time we met, she goes, "Yeah, I knew you were the guy."
Yeah,
and she caught me off when she said that.
Because she was watching videos.
She really met me.
Yeah, she watched the videos where you were being interviewed you were interviewing the other guy, or the other guy was interviewing you.
Yeah.
And we were like thinking, oh, should we go with him? Should we go with him? And but then she was like really on the fence. But when she saw the video with you, she was like, okay, that's the guy. I'm gonna write him right now, right tonight, to see if he has an opening to talk to us about stuff.
That's hilarious.
And it's just randomly coming from some strangers across the world.
Yeah.
And we happened to be also traveling to Japan
at that time.
So it kind of worked out.
God, it was meant to be like that. That is really bizarre.
But she was like, it was like 3 a.m. She's like watching the video. She's like, okay, this is the guy. So just so you, someone trying to call me anyways.
Is that me or you?
I think that's me. Let me see if Eva's trying to call me. Well, I'll try to get her
That'd be crazy if as soon as we mention her, she starts.
Oh, it sure is.
Tell her.
Oh, hold on, she's calling. I'm gonna call her right back.
Okay. Yeah, that's.
Yeah, she's calling right now. We're talking about her. She knows. Hold on, put this here.
Wait, she could be in the interview. Oh, that's crazy.
Hello. Hello. Oh, hold on a second. Hey, hon, I'm on an interview right now.
It's okay. Hi. How you doing? Hey, Maxwell. We were just talking about your mom, and you then your phone started ringing. We're like, what the hell?
That's right. I think she's spying on me. So I was mentioning, I was mentioning how you were at like 3 a.m, how you saw the interview with the other guy and decided that Colin was who we wanted to talk to.
That's hilarious. What are the odds of that?
I let you get there going, okay? I was just,
It's okay. I'm going to interview you later, Maxwell, okay? So get your material ready.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Collins.
Okay, can you press the button?
See you, buddy.
Okay, all right, I'll buzz the button. Okay.
That's hilarious how she calls right when we mention her name.
All right, yeah.
You think we're going to think that stuff was set up. How do you set that up?
I didn't set that up because she's on a totally different time zone right now.
That is really weird. Okay,
it's like 12 hours difference.
Oh, that's right. I forgot it's Texas, not Vancouver. I see. Okay, so she saw at 3 in the morning. She said, that's the dude.
Yeah.
And that's when you guys actually thought...
So she said, Milton, you're going to watch this interview right now.
Oh, so you didn't actually see me before that?
No, she told... Because I kind of let her look at the stuff because I'm so consumed with work. Like, I'm always under the gun, so I'm just consumed with the work. And I go to bed really late anyway. So I'm like coming home. I come down to bed at like 2, 3 in the morning because I'm working pretty late. And then she's like, Mom, let's stay up for a little bit longer and let's watch this video. Because she already watched it and she wanted to show me. And I was like, oh, okay. It's like, yeah. I can tell. Because you were mentioning, you were saying some phrases and terms that, the costs and some of the official things that go on in the contract in Japanese. And I was like, you know what? I really like the fact, in order for, I hate to say it in order for a gaijin to speak this fluently and about this very, very, it's kind of a niche thing.
Yeah.
It shows that you had to, there's like a selective effector. You had to get to that point.
Oh, it's a lot
and the
of work.
person that had to get to that point, you might want that person because that person is persistent.
Yeah. He had to go through a lot of loopholes and a lot of work to get to that point.
Exactly.
It's not easy. I'm here now.
Exactly.
But that journey to get to the point was fun, but it was also a bitch. It was hard.
Yeah.
It's a lot of like, don't give up, keep at it kind of attitude, and eventually you get there. And now I can see the value and how priceless those skills are.
Exactly.
And how very little people have that as well, right? It's not to brag or anything like that. It's what I realized.
You're looking at the things that led the person to be somewhere, and then you're like, okay, in order for that to happen, this had to happen. And then you're like, okay, you start piecing together, these are the things I want in a person who I'm, working with, who's helping us with this journey. So,
which video was that, by the way?
That was the one with, I think it was Shu.
When my interview, when I was sitting on this exact sofa then.
Yeah.
Ooh, isn't that a coincidence? You're here right now on the same sofas. Meant to be. Okay, so when she saw that video, and was that the time that you realized, hey, I think we're just going to buy a house now? Or did you already have that thought?
We were thinking about it because we looked at a lot of videos. But we looked at a lot of videos, and I looked at a lot of people doing DIY projects on these old Akiya, whatever. Yeah. And I used to think,
they're overkill, though.
That's I used to think, oh, that's so beautiful. This is nice. And then I'd see some of the ones on like buying a house or showing, or some guys showing some real estate thing. This is what a $1 million house is in Tokyo, or whatever. No, and it was not.
These are all over-exaggerated overkills. I like to show what needs to be done to make it livable. That's it. Simple things. How much can I make it a nice budget to make it done, Not make everything chiseled here and this and that. And I don't...
Right.
So if you like that, good. It's good for you. But for the basic person, I don't need that.
Exactly. And the thing is interesting is let's say you're from the Pacific Northwest and you like minimalism.
Yeah.
You can't get a better place for the style of the aesthetic of the home that you like than Japan. Even Japan's like older homes still, still have these kind of minimalistic elements.
Yes.
And then just a little bit of, minimal renovation can get it up to the standard you'd like it to be.
Yes.
And which would be like in the States, this is the sole purview of like millionaires that with this kind of minimalist aesthetic. Whereas here, it is kind of like the standard. And so you can get the thing you like probably much easier too because of all of this situation.
Yes.
So,
okay, so basically you got the ball rolling after that, and then she emailed me, and then we talked back and forth, and and then she met me. We met your entire family.
Yeah. We were here,
and we hit it off right away. And it's
you were really cool guys. So.
Your kids were great, and your wife's like, "You're the man." I'm like, "Okay, I guess I'm the man." Because
I like you too. I saw the video. I was like, okay. I was impressed, and I know what it's like to feel like to have to do all this stuff, and I was like, okay, if that those are the clues I need. That's all I need. And we, like I said, we were looking a lot at different things and different options.
Yeah.
And you were by far the best, most complete person we wanted to deal with.
Thank you for saying that's much appreciated because I tried to keep my best to keep grounded and down to earth like that, even though I have to sacrifice the fakeness.
Yeah.
Which, a lot of people try to be. You got to be more fake. You got to be more over exaggerated and all that stuff. And I just can't do that. It just, I like making jokes and occasionally swearing and saying funny stuff and just whatever, being dumb. But I will never be fake like that. That stuff bugs. I don't care if I don't succeed because of that. I don't want to. I don't care.
Successful. It doesn't matter.
No, I guess, but it's just like to get over that big hump of getting 100,000 subscribers. It's like some people always tell me you got to do it that way. I'm like, hire an editor, do this and that. I'm like, I like what I do the way I do it because it's natural and it's normal. I feel comfortable. And it's fun. I enjoy it. If I start making things where I'm doing it to match a specific way, then what am I doing? I'm just conforming, So it's
I mean, you could do a lot of things to optimize for that particular thing, but then you run into like, what is your channel start for? It's probably to document your journey through all of this.
I'm just doing it for me.
Exactly. Whereas like there are a lot. This is a problem with a lot of YouTubers in general. It's like they did a thing really well. They did a thing really well, and they made some money.
Yeah.
But then they become like an expert or a guru about a particular subject.
Yeah.
When in fact, most of their revenue comes from YouTube as their business.
Yeah.
Than their original business.
Exactly.
And so, and also the problem is they focus more on YouTube as a business or their social media presence than the thing that they did.
Yeah, they try to
got you the notoriety.
They try to figure out how to get more clicks and views. And
Correct.
It's like I don't want to do that. So I do the main is to do the journey for me, and 2 is naturally help other people. So I it's not like I go on purpose to make specific things. I just do what people like.
Yeah.
And I try to be funny as well because I like watching YouTubers for information, but I like guys who are naturally funny, who make good jokes and stuff. Like it keeps me focused, like that. And somebody I would like to meet. So, meeting people randomly off the internet is another odd thing I never imagined ever doing. And here we are, And
Absolutely.
It's funny enough that most of my clients who've come to choose me have been very similar to you and your wife and stuff like that. You knew you were the dude or something.
Yeah, people are going to be attracted to like the thing that they're looking for, right? So especially if they know what they're looking for. They're specific.
So it makes me feel safe and proves my point that you be you and you'll attract who you like, which is the way I want it to be.
Yeah.
So I don't need everybody. And I just don't want everybody. I can't handle it. It's not easy, right?
Yeah. Also, if you're optimizing for YouTube, you're then beholden to your videos are like the production and the creation of them are beholden to this viewership kind of angle, whereas then it no longer becomes about the thing that you're doing anyways.
Yeah, of course.
Because you become almost like enslaved by it. So what?
Yeah, I don't want to be enslaved by anything or anybody.
What's the point at that point?
A wife is just enough all you need to be enslaved by. Anything else, forget that.
Sometimes I can't comment on it.
Oh shit! She's gonna watch this video.
She's gonna watch this.
Your wife is lovely, Milton.
She's awesome.
I know she is awesome. Actually, she's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so basically, she mailed me. We came over. We met for the dinner, and we started literally looking for houses like
the next day or so. She
next
immediately
day or
started.
2 days?
Well, she immediately that night.
Oh yeah, she started.
She started perusing like the websites. I forgot what it's called.
At home or
At
Sumo?
Home.
Okay.
At home, I think.
At home, yep.
And she, because of her previous experience, also we're not inexperienced with real estate buying and selling because we've jumped from property to property in the States many times, actually, many times. And so she's pretty well versed in this kind of
she seemed
transaction. She knows what she's looking for. And that's also one thing, if she said that you're the guy, I'm like, I mean, we have enough experience in this kind of realm. Like we're not like big money people at all, but we've jumped from house to house over the years. And so we know what we're looking for too. We're very specific. We have very specific things that need to be definitely satisfied in addition to other things, and that's why we chose you, of course. But I mean, that experience led us.
Yeah, I noticed that right away. She knew what to talk about.
So she immediately knows she's going to property. She's looking at, square footage versus where it is, what is on it, what are the practical things associated with it, with the property itself, and then you got. It looks like she gave you the the information. It looks like you had looked at the same property and made,
Yeah, well, I sent her a couple links.
Summarized that the same, that these are good properties, kind of independently.
Yeah, and she was smart enough to send me a couple that she liked or that you liked, even though it was out of your budget a little bit. And I sent you some that I thought you might like or whatever. And we came up to the idea of visiting 2 properties.
Yeah.
So basically, you came here for dinner. Was it that night or the next night we talked online? And then I set you up.
Talked online.
And then the next day we went to see the houses. I slept up there.
It was on a Sunday.
I called them up right away. and I got the agent to take us to see 2 of the houses. You know,
We liked both, but this one was much better condition.
all right. Let's tell what do you think about both properties? We saw 1 and 2.
So 2 was, I think, a little less expensive because there were a couple of things. Well, 1 we bought. Number 1, the first property we bought, and overall it was really well maintained. It was a beautiful home.
It was a beautiful home.
You know, there's some minor things that need to be kind of fixed. That are a little outdated. Minor things like things that are in the States are very difficult to address.
Yeah.
Here it's not horrible. You know, from as far as a cost perspective.
Yeah.
And it's a gorgeous home. It's at least for what I'm looking for, it's a gorgeous home.
No, it is.
And just with a little power washing, boom, it'll look like $1 million.
Yeah.
I like the fact that it's built on there's concrete stairs.
Yeah.
There's a nice little garden area around the entire the
there's
perimeter of the house.
space. Yeah.
The space in the house is pretty generous.
Yeah, it is.
And it shows that the
land's 120, right? So
yeah, and it showed that the previous owner really took care of his. I mean, he was invested in his own property. Unfortunately, because he was working so far away.
Yeah.
He decided to release it for sale.
because he planned on living there forever.
This was his forever
He fixed
home.
it up before he got his job changed to Kyoto.
Yeah,
unfortunately,
which is reasonably far.
Yeah.
It's not like you're going back on the Shinkansen every night.
No.
So you looked at that. I like the stairs. I like the fact that it was a garden. Got 4 rooms, I think.
Yeah, 3
pretty good.
upstairs, 1 downstairs, and a living kitchen. Yeah, it's quite spacious.
Yeah, and I live in Texas, so I'm used to
Yeah.
a fairly large house.
Okay.
And even this house, even though you come up with your preconceived notions of Japanese houses are small, this is pretty generous as far as the houses.
It's perfect.
Yeah, it's a really great house.
It's a great house. It gives you 1 room for storage and 2 to use whatever you want. So there's options or an office, and downstairs as well for guests. There's so many options.
Yeah.
Oh, and of course, parking.
Parking. That's a huge thing.
Yeah, nice parking
Concrete
space.
enclosure, like a semi garage because it doesn't have a door, but it also aesthetically looks more pretty because it's open.
Yeah.
It's just a concrete, a concrete enclosure for your car.
In Japan, people don't steal cars, so
Exactly.
You don't have to-
You don't have to worry about that stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe the
Yet.
occasional cat that kind of skitters about, and then
Yeah.
you gotta watch out, do anything. And the neighborhood is, it's kind of up and elevated, and the houses are fairly well maintained all around it.
Yeah.
So it's it looked like it gave us really good vibes. The second house was, built in a more industrial place, and it was a bit cheaper. But the house was if I remember correctly, it was fairly roomy. It was a very narrow entrance.
It had a decent layout and it was fairly roomy, but it needed a lot of renovations.
You needed a lot of renovations. So the entrance to go up, the stairs were kind of in disrepair. It was very narrow. Once you get to the front door and enter, it widens up dramatically.
Yeah.
But probably the biggest issue with the second house was that everything was sloped. I mean, it wasn't level anymore. The foundation or whatever, everything had a tilt to it, and you can roll a marble. I mean, the real estate agent put like a little marble or ball or something, and it just kept rolling down. So obviously it fell out of level, and those are things that I'm pretty worried about when you're thinking about things.
You can fix them, but it's just things you have to
price. It's an additional cost,
and you don't know how much.
So you're like, okay, this is a cheaper home, but is it really cheaper now?
No.
Or I hate to use the word cheaper, but a home that was, this was a more value.
Yeah. Neither were bad purchases in my mind.
I thought it was still a cool house.
No, it's the typical house that you get for good value that you can fix up. The house that you got was a kind of a special one that they do pop up here and there, and you get lucky. My clients seem to be lucky with that kind of stuff. I don't know what it is. Knock on wood that it doesn't stop, but everybody seems to find something they love so far.
Yeah, and you have to be kind of mentally flexible with pricing, because
of course
you don't want to be just $500,000 or $1 million yen out of range for something that is 200% better than the thing that's just under your budget. So
we were kind of, when we were negotiating, that's the kind of thing like, what are we risking this ruining our relationship for $5,000? It's so stupid,
Yeah. So
especially when a house in the States is
we really like it. Let's just get it.
Let's just get it.
Because it's great. So I'm really excited about doing some other renovation on it. Yeah, it's got some minor things, but those things give me. I can sleep well at night because we already know the house is great.
Yeah, the house is great. I mean, if you had to renovate the second house, it'd probably be like
It's
8
a more
million
involved.
yen, right?
It would be a more involved process because
I'm thinking lowball.
it's even being out of level alone is a problem. Aside from updating certain things, the decor or whatever, the walls and stuff. But that was the first house we bought was. The owner had done a lot of the work. I mean, he poured new concrete slabs around the entrance where it kind of, needs a little cleanup in the front, but he poured new concrete all around. And so that immediately is like a bonus. The tatami is really clean. The walls were, I think, freshly or newly done with wallpaper, and the outside was painted.
Most of them, the outside was painted. There was a lot of things that were done. I didn't know that until the contract.
Exactly.
When it said that outside painting is like 15, 20 grand right there for you don't know how many things they did, right? Depending on how big the house is, and it's pretty big.
Exactly, and if that was articulated to us at first, from the agent, we probably wouldn't have come in and tried to kind of undercut the original offer, because I would have been like, okay, that's very reasonable. And it's not so far out of our budget that we wouldn't want to be inflexible there, because it's like, okay, the value proposition here is really high.
The renovations they did on the house and the paint with the paint and then the concrete slab, all that stuff that's new, the lights and some of the wallpaper. That's if you quote that at like 5 million yen, it means you got that house for 10 million yen.
Yeah.
So you don't mind me telling me how much you bought the house for?
I think we bought it for 15 million yen.
15 million yen, and the asking price was 15.5, and we tried to
get under there at 14 something.
Well, no, we tried to build. I think we tried to build 13.8.
Yeah,
and I'm like, but
Well, we're not like accustomed to the negotiating tactic.
Yeah, and the guy came back. He's like, what are you talking about? You serious? That's like, the price is already cheap for this. You never get anything for like that. Because when we saw the other place, it was like, was it 13.5 for the other place? Or
something
14 like that? And it was way different. And we're like, I know you're right. I shouldn't have said that. So if we came in at 14.5, it wouldn't have been as insulting. A 13.8 was a bit low for that particular house.
Sorry for putting you in that situation. We also picked you because we knew you're a persistent guy.
I am persistent, but I also know when not to do it.
Exactly.
And I was like, I was like, but I'm like, okay, I'll give it a shot. Give it a shot. But as soon as I knew the reaction right away, I came back to you right away and I said, "No, we gotta abort this. We gotta abort this problem right now.
We had to change
if you want this house, we gotta change it." And
you did.
And thank God we did, because
after many phone calls at the restaurant with the agent, you had to excuse yourself, but you got him back on your side, and I think once that point was crossed, we were a little bit on steadier ground with the agent and the seller. We also need to make sure that we're respecting the seller too.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm just taking your house and
no, that's what he wanted. He wanted the respect too. Or our agent wanted the respect as well because he wanted to take our respect for our agent back to the seller, because it's on him. If he comes in with a joke offer to the other side, it makes him look bad as well. And he didn't want that. So
we need to allow him the opportunity to maintain his face.
That's right. You got to look at each situation differently. And this guy, you got to remember, he's been doing real estate for years upon years.
Yeah, he looks very seasoned.
Yeah, seasoned. And he told me at the prices when I was buying, he's like, yeah, this is like a really cheap deal you're doing here, man. Prices back when I was doing it, way more money. So this is like a steal. I was like, okay. Because, he's been through it all. So he knows the bubble and all that stuff, the things going on. It's like, but he still does it because he loves it. He used to make big money. He said when he used to do this, what do you make? Gojumayan or something on this spun, but he used to make some deals 30, 40, 50,000 bucks.
Imagine you made that money, but it was a $64 exchange rate.
Oh, and that. So
that would have been like,
so you make $100K on a one deal, right? So on one sale. But no, I'm glad we did that, because he turned out to be such a great guy.
Yeah, he's really cool.
And I would never found that out if I would have been persistent, like, no, we want this deal. That's our final offer. And I just sensed it. So that's why I had to I'm glad that you agreed with me and you went with it. And you didn't get nitpicky, like you said at the table, like, why are we splitting hairs over $5,000? This is stupid. Just do the 150, because I was going to come back with a counter at 14.5. I'm like, you know what?
What's the point?
What's the point?
We're going to piss them off.
Yeah, we're going to make them happy at 15, and they're going to say yes. I know they are, and we got 5.
Exactly.
Off, so we still got something.
It's like the dog with the 2 bones or whatever that looks in the lake.
But you got to remember, we didn't know that the paint job and all this stuff was done to the house. So if I knew that, I'd be like, no, right away.
You'd be like, look, A lot of stuff's been done here.
Yeah.
Be reasonable. And
Yeah.
it would have been on us to be reasonable.
Yeah. And
Whereas,
it's up to you, right? If you really want the house. And you saw how nice it is the first time we looked at it. It wasn't like, ooh. It was like, wow.
Yeah,
this
yeah,
place
we
is
were really impressed by it.
It was really nice. I was impressed by it.
Yeah, exactly. And you've seen a lot of a lot of houses.
Yeah.
So I mean, you know, we thought, you know, you with talking to you that we would have been foolish to lose the opportunity to buy that place because we upset our agent, the other agent, and everybody else. It would just not be, you know, it would not have gone as nicely. So
and you learn as you go too.
I'm glad.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's about troubleshooting and making the right decision at the right time. It's not like do this every single time. It's like you got to just be like change those gears when you need.
Yeah, really flexibly, really
poker
quickly.
player, you know. Wow,
Yeah.
without insulting them.
If we had waited to like call him, it might not have happened.
Yeah,
but you did it immediately.
Yeah, no, yeah.
He would have
gave up. He wasn't taking us seriously. Like he was like, no, who you think you think you are? You come here and buy the house at whatever price you want. No, and I appreciate that he was like that. Yeah. And then he turned into this loving big bear.
Oh yeah, he was so nice to us after he realized I didn't have any tattoos. Yeah. And I worked at a well-known company. And you know that worked in my favor. But
did you see his face when you and your wife told you where you both work?
Oh yeah,
at the office.
He was really happy about that because that's a big thing in Japanese culture.
Because he wasn't sure if he could trust you as well, right? Because
exactly. He doesn't know me. He doesn't
know you, of course.
So the only thing I can do is like, hey, I
can offer cash.
I've been pre-vetted. In the same in a similar way, you know.
Especially when you're not paying a down payment.
Yeah. Oh, the crazy thing about this was, I go into contract to buy this place. I didn't have to put any earnest money down. It's crazy. I can't even. My mind can't even conceive of that honor system.
And that's why because of me and how you were with your job, he just put the trust in me. Like I gave him the guarantee it's going to happen, and almost every single time I've come through in that sense. I've only had one not. So, and it's like the odds of it happening are very low because I put my name on the line too.
Yeah, your personal reputation
is very important, and I give them my word. It's gold here, you know, and handshake is
you place it in kind of like this kind of jeopardy situation, and but you also are incentivized to protect it.
Yeah, of course.
So it works out.
Okay, so basically we went to see 2 houses that day. It was a busy day for me, and while you're doing those 2 houses, you needed a little time to think about it with your wife. So I quickly took my bike ride down to see another property that I was considering buying in Arayajuku, because this property is in Higashiuroa. And then eventually you took a taxi or a train down. I can't remember. You met me at Arayajuku station.
Yeah, we took a train to Arayajuku.
And then we visited my house. Mm-hmm. So you got to see my house, my number 16 house. Yeah, you were lucky you're in my video there.
My son was also, we were holding the lights because it was pretty dark by then.
That's pretty cool. And then we had Saizeriya.
Yep.
And then that's when we made the negotiations and decided to go for it. And the guy said, okay. And he went to his office. He drove to his office, and you took a taxi, and I took my bike up there. And we basically discussed everything. And you filled out the forms to send in your offer.
Yeah.
And it went in.
Just went in like that.
And you guys were getting nervous. Did they accept it yet? And eventually, how many days until they accepted?
Was it that next day or it was very quickly. Was it the night?
Oh, really? I thought
it was like the next.
Longer.
Excuse me?
I thought it was a little bit longer than that. No?
Was it? No, I think it was in a day or two. You said that, they
Excuse me. Really?
My brain is, my
maybe,
memory.
Maybe.
But it was very shortly after.
Yeah, I remember it was quick.
I wasn't waiting like on pins and needles for it. Okay. Because if it was like a week.
Well, your wife. I think one of you guys emailed me saying, "Did he answer yet?" I'm like,
yeah, I think
it was like the next day. I'm like, come on,
you a little bit. So.
Okay, it's like give him some time. They got to send. He didn't send it to that day. So it's either that night or the next day.
It was like a day or two.
Yeah.
Because I would just guess that because if it was any longer, if it was like a week, we probably would have been more nervous about it. Kind of like when you're waiting to see if an offer on a house in America takes. You're like, should I do this or that?
Yeah.
Should I escalate? Blah 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 blah.
No.
And that didn't get to that point mentally. No. So obviously it was only a few days.
No, it's pretty good.
But yeah.
So basically we went there, we did that, and then you guys went happily home back to the States. You finished your last couple days here, and then you went home, right?
Well, and you mentioned that I'd probably have to come back here.
Yes.
Because they also prefer to see the face of a person that's signing this thing as kind of like a respectful thing or etiquette. And
you don't
obviously I jumped at the opportunity.
Yeah, because you want to come back, obviously. Yeah. Don't tell that to your wife, though.
No, she knows.
I'm just kidding. So basically, you did that, and while that was happening, it gave them time to prepare the contracts and figure out what get everything done. But we hit a couple snags along the way. And one of the snags was the money issue. We originally said we'll do TransferWise, send it early. But in this case, we had two agents. We had our agent on our side, and they had the seller's agent. And if there's one agent, it'd be easier to do that. But because there's two, this agent, our agent, cannot request the other agent to give them the deed for the house. Because if you send the money and they don't give you the deed, they could just run away with your money. I mean, that's not going to happen, but there's no guaranteed, and they don't want to take that responsibility or that risk on you. They can't say that.
Yeah.
So if it was one agent, this agent can ask. If the seller and buyer is represented by the same agent, he can ask the seller, can you let me hold on to the property deed? That way you cannot screw the buyer when he sends you the money. Because in Japan, when you buy a house, you need to send the money on the exact same day to make it all go through. And when you're using TransferWise or other bank transfers, sometimes it takes a couple days, especially for big money, to go through. So that was impossible. But usually what I do is I allow the trusting of the seller to start sending the money early until it arrives all on time. But in this case, because it was two, and our agent said, no, they don't want to do that. It's not going to fly. So I'm like, okay, you're still coming. You got your ticket booked for the 2nd of December.
Yeah.
And how did we get around that?
I think we did it was through you as our proxy. That's
right. I was your proxy.
We assigned the proxy responsibilities to you.
Well, I already had to be your proxy.
Right, exactly, because you were the guy. You were taking care of our kind of our negotiation, our translation, all of that.
I had to fill out your contract anyway.
Exactly.
But I had to be the double proxy because I had to do the banking part too.
Exactly.
Which is that's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of trust from you too, right?
Yeah, we had to put a lot of trust in you.
Yeah. So you basically send me a wad of cash to my bank account.
Yeah.
And I had to fill out a form through my thing to make sure we're not doing money laundering, and I had to go in there to stamp all that stuff. So that was an extra worry for me as well. I don't want to do it too because of the money laundering issue.
I'm glad we could. We felt like we could trust you because I'm telling you, this whole time we were a little nervous about. Hey, we're sending roughly $100,000 US across wire.
Yeah.
To you, a person we've only met for a little bit, but we felt that I went to
the casino after.
Yeah, I know.
We felt
that we just felt that you're gonna you're the guy that's gonna come through for us.
Yeah.
So
you just basically got to do what needs to be done, and
exactly.
I'm putting myself on the line for you as well to doing that.
Exactly.
And he asked me nicely. They asked me in the sense like, you're gonna do that, right? And I'm like, of course I will. Like, what am I supposed to say? No, there's no other way. It's like, no, okay, fine. So basically, I became a double proxy, and that's what I had to sign that paper for. I had to ship it to you. You had to sign it, saying that I'm your proxy.
Exactly. That'd be a notarize it, right? Or is that the other one?
No, you don't have to notarize that one. The affidavit is what you had to notarize.
Oh, right.
But when you sent that back to him, that gave me also the power of attorney to not only do that money transfer, but it also allowed me to sign your contract for you. So what we were able to do is I was able to go into his office before you came on December 2nd.
To handle everything aside from just the ceremonial transaction of
of meeting
funds.
the people. Exactly. So I went in for a 3-hour meeting with him. We went over the contract.
Took care of everything.
Video recorded everything. He made a bunch of copies, made his beautiful binder up and got it all ready. I gave him the forms I needed. I also needed to get proof of my address, proof of my hanko, my stamp, Japanese stamp. It's called inkan or hanko. So I had to do all these things. And that's not even including the fact that he has to write my name on the actual deed. But this is just for the real estate contract. When it actually comes to official contract from lawyers, my name is only on the actual contact area of the deed.
Because
it's not
the point of contact.
Ownership. So it's the contract.
But it's assigned to us as the owners, but you are the person
who signed the contract.
That needs to be alerted because you are your reputation is on the line for all this stuff that's happened.
Plus, I was able to sign your contract, which is a contract between you and the agent to make sure you're working
and you've
with
been
them.
multiple times with the agent to just kind of get all of this
and made it
set
smooth.
Up. Yeah, exactly.
So you can either do that with Zoom with you watching as well, which was okay, or I could just go in there and do it for you, which I did. So it is possible to do things from overseas. It's just the people here would rather meet the seller and buyer. They'd rather see who they're dealing with. It just makes them trust you more instead of just coming. It's not just like a deal to them. It's actually you're buying a piece of the country, So
I'm happy I did come, not just for the fact that
but you're going to come anyways.
But right? I got to see the seller, and I got to get a sense of why the seller had to leave the property.
Yes,
and what he did to the property, and so in a good way,
things we wouldn't have known, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And it turns out he was a great guy, and it turns out that you're half Chinese, and his agent.
His buddy agent.
Agent is half Chinese and half Korean or something. That's
Yeah.
hilarious. We're like, what are the odds of that?
Yeah,
That's insane.
we were just talking the whole time you were gone, taking care of that whole thing. I think all we talked about was beef, something like that, eating steaks and beef.
That's hilarious.
Something like that. Yeah, it was great.
So why did it have to leave though? We'll get to that in a second.
We'll get that. Yeah.
Okay, so basically, I finished the contract, and all that had to be done on December 2nd when you were coming. We were originally going to do the contract on the 2nd because of the money issues. We had to change it. So I had their money in my bank account, and basically he came on today, and we did the contract this morning where you basically just sign some little form.
I signed like 2 papers.
Yeah, 2 papers. I had to sign the other 10.
He had to do a lot of stuff. You had to do...
Yeah,
you came in early, like you said, you came in early with Harada-san too. Sign all that stuff, get everything prepared.
Prepared, yeah.
So that when I came in, I was nervous because I've never purchased the thing here.
Yeah.
And it was literally like, write your name here, sign your name right here, and that was it. That was it. I've been to a lot of closings in the past.
Yeah, it's usually sign 10 documents. So
I'm doing a DocuSign, or it's like, okay, now you're going to sign here, and then the notary is like going through a stack of papers, maybe 120 pages long.
Yeah. It's exactly what happened. I went through all your binders.
Exactly.
So you just did have all the details in your binder as well, and I have the video.
Yeah.
But basically on that day, you just signed a few things. We met the people, and we paid the money. The problem is when I was showing the phone, which I'll have the video here for that, is luckily I could read Japanese, and I'm reading my bank account to send the money to the big part. I have to send the lawyer fee with the taxes inside there, the agent fee, and the money to the seller. And the seller's the 50 million. And change because of the taxes included in that.
Correct.
And when I read my phone, it said, "Oh, shit, maximum 10 million in one day." I'm like, I hope my Japanese is wrong. I showed it to all of them, and they're like, oh. So basically, we couldn't pay them all in the one day. Now I'm sure they might have been flexible to do 10 and 5 tomorrow because we're paying enough. I'm not going to run. They're probably going to trust us.
I'm leaving a large part of that money, right?
Yeah, obviously. But we don't know, and we didn't want to be unofficial. So I had the great idea, okay, dudes, luckily my bank is at the next station over. So me and the agent, while you guys waited there and had a great chat, we hopped in the car, drove over to my bank, and went straight to the teller and say, look, we got to pay this money. And we're like, okay, this is going to be easy. No. They're like, your name, because when I first came to Japan 25 years ago, sub-story, I originally put my name, first name, last name, because that's how I was raised. I didn't Japanese. I assumed they would do it.
Family name.
Yeah, family name's first here. So my documents is family name and last name, and they're like, well, we got to make sure we can verify who you are. Oh, and they're trying to make excuses. I'm like, come on, man. Even the agent was like, he's right here. Like, the names are obviously the same, just the order is different. And she goes, okay, fine, we'll let you get away with it today. But next time you come in, I'm like, I tried to tell her really nicely, today? You mean the last 25 years of today? Like, why? That's the part of Japanese we're talking about being rigid. They're following the rules, they can't break it out. But whatever, she's doing her job, and we got it through. I smiled and charmed and got her phone number. That was a joke.
That's a joke.
So anyhow.
I don't know.
I got 2 of them. I'm just kidding. So basically, so that took me 30 minutes or so there to get that done. And I transferred 2 from my bank, directly doing them from the machine, and 1 was from the bank teller doing that. It cost more money to do it that way, but in our situation, it was the only way to get it done.
Yeah, it's unavoidable.
It's unavoidable, so we had to do it. And luckily, the bank was right there. What happens if we were somebody else in another part of Japan? It'd be like, So, lesson learned, maximum 10 million a day. And when the Korean guy the Korean Chinese agent was explaining to me, he has 5 bank accounts.
5 bank accounts.
4 bank accounts and 1 Yubinsho? Mailbox. Post account.
A PO box.
Yes.
Or something.
A bank account with the post office. So he had 5 accounts. So he said, yeah, I do 100,000 from each one. I'm like, I said, that's how you get expensive. Because most people buy expensive properties with loans, right? Not just cash.
Right.
So, but foreigners.
In this case, because of the this kind of unique situation, we just have to buy the whole thing entirely, and because it's really hard to get a bank loan if you're not a citizen or a resident of Japan.
But it's a great story. Like every time I do something, a client or buy my house, always something new comes up, and that was the new one.
A little extra drama.
And you're probably sitting there. Oh shit! Yeah. Were you panicking a little bit?
A little bit. Yeah, I was panicking. I mean,
we went for a coffee, Starbucks, relaxing to see how long you panicked. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. I was a little panicked because I was like,
we would have got it done.
We were like, worrying the whole time prior to this about, will this money come through? Will this happen?
Oh,
it got through.
Your money came right away.
But the problem is, and this is a problem for a lot of people, is just how do you get this, large sum of money to the people it needs to get to without it, making these weird alerts,
red flags.
And
red
flags and stuff like that.
It's stupid times like that. But yeah, there was her hassle, and she was like, "Oh, we'll let it go." What else did she say? Well, even the agent was getting on her case. Like, come on, man, you got to make this work. Why shouldn't it work? But she was also saying, "Oh, it might arrive tomorrow," and the agent's like, "No, it won't. It needs to arrive today."
Yeah,
and he's like, and she's like, "Okay."
I felt like I had to apologize profusely to the seller and the agent and the lawyer, because they're just three guys talking to me. Yeah. And I'm like, my Japanese is not very good. Yeah. And I'm just like, sorry, thank you for your patience. Sorry.
Yeah. They understood though.
Yeah, and the thing is, even if they would have been flexible about the payment situation, the fact is, he came from Kyoto, I think. Yeah. Here.
That's true.
And so I wanted to get this done because he already had to travel back, several hours.
Yes.
To come back here.
We don't want him to screw him over for a bit more, right?
Yeah, his time is valuable too. He's a professor or something at the university.
We're lucky we did the contract ahead of time though, because we started today, we would have never been on time.
Yeah.
We would have tried to do that transfer just on time, but like, oh shit, and we wouldn't be able to make the bank. Good thing we started earlier. So lesson learned: start your contracts as early as you can in the day. That way, if anything happens,
contingent plans you can make.
Because banks don't wait for you. They don't give a shit about you buying a house. They shut down. You know?
They really were like, this is it. This is it.
If you can't get your transfer in by 1:30, it's not going to make it there on time. But the money came right away to sell. That's what they said on the phone. Yeah, it's there. So it went through, and then he gave you those sexy jingly keys, and you were like, "Yeah, baby!"
Yeah, I was super happy.
You brought all your girlfriends over to.
I don't know about that, but
Oh, is she watching?
She's always watching.
Just kidding. Yeah. We didn't bring them. We'll bring them tomorrow.
No, everything was great. I got the keys. I was so excited. The thing is, when you and the agent called, their agent. Yeah. Everybody breathed.
They all did.
Yeah, big sigh of relief. I wasn't there, because
they said okay to you, like.
Good. Yeah. It was good because everybody was happy, and it was done.
High five! All right.
And he got and
you can trust me. As long as it's under 200K, I'm not going to go to the casino. Yeah. There are none here.
Yeah. Another thing that when we were eating dinner, that we were like, you're like, I help people sometimes, but I got stuff going on, and it seems to me like when you're reluctant to do those kinds of things. I feel like you don't want to sometimes want to go that direction because you put a lot on the line.
Yeah, you put a lot on the line and you don't want to half-ass it.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I give it my all when I do these things. It's commitment. So you don't want to fake people.
It's a good signal. It's a good signal for me to read that at least.
Yeah. Well, you read it positively. Some people read it as negatively. Who is this guy talking about? Because it's a commitment when you do something. I want to do it right for them, and you can't always say exactly how it's going to go, right? You have to, I can do my best to help you do it, but you also have to do your best to be flexible and ride the wave. Once you start getting picky and all these things, it's not going to work. Like say if I told you, oh, sorry, you have to use Wise. Oh, I don't use Wise. I use my bank. And I'm like, I'm advising you to use Wise because it's the only way to make this happen. The other one will take too long, and you're like, then it's not going to work. You're like, okay, you should be like, you need that? We'll do that. That's how it's done. Yeah. And unfortunately, some people are like that. And it's like, okay, I'm doing my best to make you the options, but you're narrowing it down. Something that's already hard to do, and you're making it worse on yourself on purpose. It's like, no.
Yeah. The only other thing we could have done, and this is a ridiculous thing, is stay here for 2 months and go to 7-Eleven every day and get and drop money out of a bank account for it.
That's funny you say that. Because that's exactly what the other guy who worked at did. He was here for a month. My first client, and he every day took $5,000 out, and then we bought a $3 bag from a 300 yen shop, and when I advised him to a cooler
Here's
bag,
your money.
Yeah, and he basically brought it out, and they were counting on the machine.
Yeah,
and it was 100K.
Because cash is still king. Because cash is still king here.
Now, this is the middle of nowhere too, right? So it's like, and it worked. It's how we got it done. You have to do what you need to get done. He was all over that. He was like, "Yep, this is what we need to do. We'll do it." He didn't question anything. He's like, "Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir." I'm like, thank you. Because that's what it is.
If you really want the thing, you have to do what needs to be done.
Exactly. And it's not ridiculous. It's just being a little flexible and troubleshooting. It's
like being a month in Japan is horrible. Oh, it's such a sacrifice.
Exactly. He was here for 2, so, but that's when that happened.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's the only other way, because then you can just, I think the word is smurfing. I don't know if this is correct, but to just take little by little by little, and just kind of building that accumulated amount up to make the purchase.
Is
so
that
it wouldn't.
Is that because of the word smurf?
I guess so. I don't know.
I mentioned Smurfs today. Isn't that coincidence?
Yeah, I had a friend that was talking about this about gambling or something like that.
Okay.
This was a long time ago, and I just heard this somewhere.
Okay. So basically, you got your keys. The agent was nice enough to drive you back up to my house.
The agent was fantastic.
Yeah.
He drove us to the train station last time. He was very happy after we made a more reasonable offer.
Yeah.
he
changed. He changed.
Yeah. It was like night and day. It was like night and day. You know, from what you described on the phone.
Yeah. Oh no, I completely.
I mean, he was obviously that kind of like, what do they call it? Tatemai.
Yeah, tatemai. That's right.
That kind of thing when he was dealing with us.
Yeah.
But
because he doesn't know who we are. And
exactly. But after we signed and we were, you know, he saw that we were quite serious about this. He was even through his, you know, just general politeness, I could feel that he was happy about this situation.
Well, no, because on the phone when I called him originally, he's like, I said, "Can you meet tonight?" He's like, "Yeah, maybe we can do it tomorrow." I'm like, "Can you meet tonight?" Like really nice. I said, "It would be really cool if we could just get this done tonight. It'd just make it so much easier for everybody." And he's like, "You know what? You're right." So he was willing to do that because he realized that I was serious and we weren't just clowning around. Because unfortunately, a lot of foreigners are. Yeah. The word is flaky, I'd say.
Flaky,
in Japanese, that's what they
they're
view us
shy
as.
about dipping their toes or something.
But they're flaky. They say one thing and don't do it. So Japanese have that. That's their stereotypical view of a foreigner, a lot of people. And which I don't disagree with. A lot of people are flaky.
A lot of people are flaky.
So, but he wasn't aware of who I was or who you are as people, right? So when I say something, I'm going to do it 99.99% of the time.
Yeah, if I make that commitment to...
Yeah, if I say it, I'm going to do it.
It should be hard to get to that decision, but once you make that decision...
It's done.
It's done,
yeah,
exactly.
It's done. So,
but you got to put more
he
time
doesn't
up
know
front.
that.
Exactly.
So that's what I had to over the phone, and he was starting to lighten up on the phone, and I was like, okay. And then once he got there, he was lightened up, and then once he heard what your jobs were, then...
Yeah, he knows that I think
these are real people.
They're real people. Yeah. They have the means to do this, so the likelihood of flakiness is lower.
Yeah.
And, you know, maybe there's some sort of, you know, associated pre-vetting or something.
Yeah, well, they don't know foreigners too, right? So
exactly.
They're just used to the images and TV and stereotypical things. That's all I can believe. Oh, and he also researched me online. He found my school and stuff like, oh, you run a school and all this stuff. Like, hey, I could trust you because you have these things. You look like a decent person. I'm like, you did that? He's like, of course. I got to vet my people. I'm like, oh, okay. I said, you're smart.
Any normal person would do that, right?
Yeah. So basically, he drove you after the contract to my house. I rode my bike here, and then we took my bike.
Yeah, your e-bikes. Yeah,
and drove to the new house and did a tour of it, and then we had a great time at dinner.
Yeah.
So it was a very exciting day.
We had delicious dinner. So in celebration, it was a great day.
You had a very good day.
I'm excited. Dude, I'm super excited.
Cloud 9. You have a property in your favorite country.
It's like a dream, you know. It's the first part of my bigger dream, but it's like a dream.
But it's getting it going,
you know.
Were there any things that in this journey that were surprising to you, or easier than you thought, or harder than you thought, or like things you didn't expect?
Well, it's the money transfer issue is probably a huge thing, and it's also probably compounded by the fact that I'm not a resident, and so I can't get a bank loan. I can't do these things where just that money can flow to who it needs to be. We have to be very specific, and you know, we have to pay a lot of attention to how that money is over, how it gets to where it goes, because you don't want to set off red flags. Like, you know, they think it's money laundering if you got that much money going through. Yeah, and we just have to be very careful on how that transmits through. And luckily, as our proxy, you kind of held it for us, you know, safely. And then also when this thing little snag happened today, you took care of it, you know, immediately. I was super relieved. I mean, that's probably the biggest thing. The surprising thing is like that, you know, actually get a place here. You know, I mean, I didn't expect, you know, a year ago watching some videos on some guy rebuilding his Akiya. I never thought. I was like, you know, I would just talk to my wife and just say, oh, that'd be so cool.
That's right. Just that'd be cool. But
cool.
You're actually doing it.
Yeah, and it's not like, you know, it'd be so cool that I could, you know, I could hold an Airbnb. No, that doesn't even come into my mind. Just the fact that, you know, you're living this kind of idea of it's kind of a little mini dream of doing this. And he's like, oh, that'd be so cool. It's probably only for people that are retired or only for people, you know, that have the time. But no, it's the most accessible this ever will be at this
Right
time.
now.
Right. And either way, even if this time passes and things are more expensive, it is still a great country.
Yeah.
And
Overall, anyways, because you're
Yeah.
paying less for a better country, like we said with the service. It makes no sense right
Yeah,
now. And then people
yeah.
look at it like, oh, there's a reason for that. No, you're just lucky.
yeah, America's awesome. I
Yeah.
love. There are things I will still live in America, but this place, for very unique reasons, is extremely
It's different.
comforting. I guess the I don't know. I can't explain it another way. It's incredible. The service, the value, the people here, the precision. It's the attention to detail on things. It's very hard to match. I'll say this: it's not impossible. It's very hard, and they've done an incredible job for so long. And,
Yeah. Why even compete?
Yeah.
It's like you've lost. Just do the best in your way you can to make something different, but you cannot match how Japan is. But America and Japan are just two different countries. Appreciate them for what they are.
Yeah.
Your lifespan here is going to be higher though if you don't, because you won't get shot. But
Yeah, exactly. My lifestyle in America has allowed me to partake in this, so
Yes.
I have to be thankful for
Yeah,
that.
because right now American dollars are worth a lot
Oh
more.
my gosh,
So-
it's so advantageous. The other part is that you're coming here and you have a very good rate,
Mm-hmm.
and for lack of better words, I feel so guilty, like coming here and I'm able to afford more in this place for the things I get. I
Yeah.
feel like
You feel guilty, don't you?
I feel super guilty,
Yeah.
and it's just because I'm a guy that likes this that likes kind of like an
You just
equitable
appreciate
thing,
it.
but
yeah.
so I appreciate everything I get from that.
Yeah, after coming back from Vancouver in 2 months for 2 months trip, I came back here. I felt guilty paying the prices I was paying here. I'm like, is this really that cheap? Am I really able to get 8 plates of sushi for less than $10? This is not real.
Yeah.
It's just like, and I
feels
spent
like you're
$100
robbing-
for the same bucks and
It feels like you're robbing them, and
Yeah.
hopefully, we can find some middle point. But yeah, I mean, it's great for me. It's really great. It's great
Yeah.
for us. And I just all I can do is show appreciation for it. Because
I guess we feel like the Mexicans did in the 80s and 90s, where people were traveling down there from the States and buying it over cheap.
yeah, at the very least, you can show appreciation for the things that are provided here.
Yeah.
I'm thankful. So
Porter
I'm thankful
Ryan.
I'm thankful for you. I'm thankful for the seller who has maintained his home
Yeah.
so well, and I hope that he can feel at ease knowing that the person who bought his home,
Mm-hmm.
appreciates the work he put into it and the care, who will try to take care of it.
Okay. Can you please tell the camera or the people out there any advice or stuff you give them, or what they can expect or what they should do? Like from a standpoint of somebody who had no clue before and just jumped in.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like we did, we found someone that
Pay attention. They're looking at you over here.
Oh, sure. We found someone that understands this very niche part of working with Japanese contracts. I mean, aside from obvious character positives, finding somebody that understands this really well, because Colin was able to navigate us through so many of these little intricate things, especially with the kind of advanced Japanese knowledge you need to have for like official contracts. This is not just like reading a newspaper.
Yeah.
There are things that have legal implications, and so that's really important. Second of all, it gives you a great goal to save up money. You're doing something
Productive.
productive, but also it's really the most unique form of investing like I've made.
Yeah.
I'm not like a big guy, but this was very different from any other way I've kind of put money into something that I feel like I'm getting more out of it than this is
Than
for a
just
lot of,
money.
Yeah, for a lot of people that are thinking about buying this kind of property.
Yeah.
I hope you can come away with the feeling that aside from obviously making a little money on some things, that you're getting more than just the money aspect out of it. That you're participating in this beautiful culture.
That's very well said, because that's what I keep trying to tell people, that exact
Yeah.
same thing. It's like here, usually when people invest, they want to make money. They're trying to make money off of everything. They look at how much money I'm making, what's my ROI on it. But when I say invest in Japan, money can be a thing, but it's not why you're doing it. It's just one of the things. You're getting more, like you said, to it. And that's exactly when I buy my houses. I'm not just looking at the ROI. I'm looking at, do I really like this place? Do I want a piece of this area? And it's that feeling is just amazing.
What do you call it? Furin? What is the word you said?
I said fuinki.
Fuinki?
Fuinki.
Fuinki.
Yeah.
You mentioned it's an atmosphere, right?
Yeah, atmosphere, mood of that kind of. It's
kind of like that.
The vibe. That's a good word, vibe. So what's the Fuinki? If you like the area, so it's like you're a part of it. The essence. Yeah. So, yeah. Okay. Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah,
but that was bang on.
So yeah, that's like those are the biggest things. You know, a lot. You know, you helped us. Colin helped us with a lot of the kind of more mundane aspects of the purchase, all the signing stuff that luckily we didn't have to do because this is our first time and all that, and it was really smooth. So I would say this is something that if you do like this country, at least look into it and do some research. And maybe you'll come away with the same conclusions that we did. Yeah,
because I don't really want to help people or advise people who don't really know anything about Japan and just hear, oh, cheap houses, I want to go there. Like, it's kind of not what Japan needs, unfortunately. Yeah. I'm not trying to.
Any place. I think any place would be well off if people that wanted to kind of participate in that economy in that place.
Yeah.
To love that place too.
Yeah, of course.
Instead of it just seeing as like, hey, this is only purely a profit generating machine. So.
Or it's just dirt cheap and I want to live there because it's dirt cheap. Like there's got to be a little more to it,
Yeah.
It's
because if you're doing it for that reason, you're no longer really in control of why you're doing that. You're kind of leaving it up to these are the needs and the things I need to do as opposed to what do I want to do.
Yeah, and you're cheapifying Japan as well.
Yeah,
so absolutely. you're just gonna have that mentality. And it's not what Japan needs right now, unfortunately. And unfortunately, a lot of third world countries, you see a lot of people who unfortunately don't make a lot of money, so they see the cheap here or free houses here. Like, oh, I get a lot of emails for that. I want to get that. Can you help me do that? I want to get there. I'm like, no, it's not that easy. They wouldn't even accept you anyway. So I hate to say that, but it's just
sometimes you can sympathize. Sometimes you can really sympathize with those things.
I do, but
you also want a person that just also sees more than just they can see more than just, hey, this is where I can just find survival. You want to be able to have a place where you feel like your heart can grow with the place.
100%.
So I mean that's the other thing, right? But I can totally sympathize with people that kind of need to find a place to live, but at the same time you want to be where.
It's just sad that their country doesn't help those people in their own country, and they have to go to another country to find that, It's
and I feel conflicted as an immigrant myself to the United States. So it's tough. It's like I said, it's a tough thing, but you have to be practical about it. At least love the country you're living in.
Or else the whole world's just going to be
you live.
The whole world's just going to become the same, and you're not going to have any uniqueness to every country anymore if you just allow all that stuff to happen.
Yeah, exactly.
Not everywhere has to be a melting pot. I appreciate Japan because it's Japan, or Bali because it's Bali, or Thailand or Greece because it's all those people, right?
Yeah.
So
Japan only had the Japanese for a long time, and they still had the best food in the world on average. So as far as like cooking technique and the Michelin star thing, so
because they take pride into what they do.
Exactly.
Right?
So that's a poor argument for that, but at least love the place where you're at.
Yeah.
Because even on a local, if you buy a house that you just bought because it's cheap anywhere. You may not want to care for it as much as a house that you bought because you liked it. And that could be
the area as well, right?
Exactly. So. That could be for anywhere you are, no matter where you are in the world. So it's about pride and ownership, I think. It's you appreciate the things hopefully that you wanted.
Yeah. I agree.
Well, I can go into this. I can wax philosophical about things. Yeah. And ramble more, but
I'm sure half the people are not half. I'm sure 99% of the people who are watching this are already asleep right now. They're
most definitely. If they're in the States, they're definitely asleep.
I meant like from boredom. Sorry, we talked your ears off, guys. I hope you got some good information from this. Did we miss anything?
I don't think so.
I mean, we could literally talk forever.
We could talk about the yakiniku we have, but you probably don't want to hear about that. There's really so number one reason I'd really want to ever move permanently to Japan is the fact that they have the most delicious beef here. It is incredible.
Yeah. He took me for a beautiful dinner.
And they have great ice cream here. I'll be honest, I like food and I like sweets. And this place
didn't get that idea there.
I know. And this this place is like a paradise for all of those things. It's crazy.
I'll be joining you there someday. But you can think about it. What we eat tonight? We had the premium meat meal.
Premium
all
course.
You can eat, and it was
It's like a
it was like
Ichiman.
yeah, but like not including drinks. Let's just say the basic meal itself, all you can eat beef
Like
was
8,000.
Yeah, it was 8,000, which is like how many American dollars?
Oh, let's see, it's 1.5, so it's like $65 or something.
No, wait, it's like no 55.
Something. It was.
Yeah, we can't do math.
No, we can't. I mean, like,
$60 at the most, I think.
Yeah,
$60
like
and
60
no
bucks.
tip, and that's for 2 people. All you can eat.
No tip.
Beef.
Yeah, and that
was
cost is not the
stuffed.
tax.
Yeah.
The tax is already factored into this.
So it's like for him, it's like what?
Yeah, I'd spend that on just one meal alone
At McDonald's.
Yeah. Don't even get started on the United States branches of Gyukaku, which are delicious, but it's expensive. This is an expensive.
I appreciate that. I appreciate when somebody does that for me.
I'd be happy living here.
Yeah.
If I just had a 7-Eleven that had all the crazy stuff that they have just around. Every day I could just go grab whatever, an egg salad sandwich right there.
All over the place.
And a fried chicken thigh.
Yeah.
That's all I need. I go back to work and I can just get those little things, and that's all you really need to be happy.
Non-stop talking acids. Cha-ching. Oh my goodness. But it was a great deal today. I'm so happy that you got your house and you're happy.
The help you gave us.
I look forward to. Oh, one final thought. This is house you planned on living in at first, but you might actually use an investment.
I think it might be more useful for somebody. We were thinking about this house potentially living, but I have a very young child.
Yeah.
I have a slightly older son as well, but a young child, and it's. Yeah. I was just thinking practically about logistics, going back and forth with my vacation home, and it's just a little bit more difficult. Like I said, I chose to balance between living in a slightly more suburbanized part of the area, but there is that beautiful parking spot, and so we thought that it might be a better usage of the place if a person that has the ability to drive a car to go to and from where they need to be.
Yes.
And
which means you might buy another place, is what you're saying.
Which is probably going to mean that.
Great.
I mean, we already thought about it. So
let's take one step at a time.
One step at a time. This was already like a little bit of a heart attack earlier.
Yeah.
Because I was just sitting with them. I was like, I'm sorry. Going aside.
Actually, his Japanese, he doesn't speak Japanese much, but his pronunciation of what he does speak is perfect. And you do know a lot of words too.
I built a bunch of random vocabulary, but it's not from just anime, because
you're intelligent.
Because the anime guys are just like really dramatic.
This is kick-asses. We don't have to be humble. You can say whatever you want. You're awesome.
Well, thank you. You're awesome, fantastic.
Yeah.
I try to be at best okay.
We like to joke here.
That way I can't disappoint.
Yeah. No, it's fine. But I appreciate you
I'm like
enjoying my collection here of games.
These koi games have the most beautiful packaging.
Yeah, that's why I bought them all. Look, this is so old, and it's still in great condition. I love it.
These are like mini versions of the Neo Geo AES cartridges. Yeah. The packaging on those.
Similar. Look at that. Similar to Genesis packaging.
Well, back then when they spent money on this stuff,
almost same
and everything
size
is
too.
like.
Wow, that's NHL '94. So this is what started me on.
But there's good art on this, and this is just a photo. So
yeah, that's true. All right.
Right.
Anything else? No, we're good.
Yeah, I think I've talked you guys' ears off. Yeah. I'm not really that good on camera, but.
What are you talking about?
Believe me, I hate hearing my voice.
I hate my voice too, but no, you did a fantastic job. I didn't have to do a lot of talking. Now I'm getting more used to it. You said what people need to say. It's nice when you can say stuff without me asking you specific questions or dragging the information out of you. You just say it. So
I like
really
to ramble.
Cool.
So
but you ramble about good points and good things.
That's a problem I have, though.
So if people are willing to listen to your ramble or our information here, then they can hopefully learn something from that on their journey, and especially get confident that it's possible.
I do this at the expense of now increasing competition for another house I may want to buy, but it's important information that should be truthfully relayed. I mean,
that's true.
It is the best. It is the best policy to pass on good energy.
100%. That's what I do. Pay it forward in a way too, right? So, because like you saw today, things happen, signs happen, and everything we do is like today's. You had the sign of my first client who works for your company message you at the same time you're there. Your wife phones as we mentioned her name, and something else happened. I forgot.
Yeah.
But it's just those things happen all the time. It's insane. You know? Oh, the agent being half Chinese and half Chinese. Like, come on, man. Is this a
Everybody
joke?
was super nice and accommodating. You know, I mean, you know, you get this impression that they're very rigid. And yeah, sometimes they're rigid about something.
They're just rigid about rules.
Yeah.
So,
otherwise, you know, as long as you're respectful,
yeah,
they may give you a little bit of, you know, grace in that respect. So I was very appreciative. Because this could have gone wrong on a lot of levels.
Yeah, there's always, and I got to make sure I'm protecting
even the most
every corner too.
planned things something can derail.
Yeah.
And luckily, within a short amount of time, it was.
But that's a lot of clients don't realize about when I'm doing this too, that I'm protecting them a lot of the way, and I don't tell them. I tell them as much as I can, but I'm fighting the battle for them, and they don't see that. So I try to make everything, and I explain them who you are, etc., back and forth, and make sure everything runs smooth.
Right.
So if there's something here, I got to explain to them why. It's like, oh, and they, what? And then they try to, you know, so if everything's easy on this side, it makes it easier on this side. And people don't see that because I'm trying to hold it from falling apart.
Yeah. But sometimes it's okay to expose a little bit of what you have to deal with, because then they can kind of understand, so they don't just treat you as like, hey, you know, just you're like a machine that just does this stuff.
No, I don't.
Because you're still dealing with people and their emotions on how they are, you know, they're choosing to, whether or not they want to give, you know, basically sell a property to you or sell it to somebody else. Because there's interesting rules. I think you mentioned to me about the real estate market in Japan that you're not able to escalate pricing on homes. They can only come down in price, but once there's the original price, they can't go above.
No, they have to delist the property and relist it then.
Yeah.
But if you have an offer on a property, you can't just say there's somebody else can't just come in and bid more than you. So that's pretty luckily, because I had that happen to me.
In a way, that's kind of good, because then it gives the seller an opportunity to, you know, to choose. You know, it kind of solves the situation. Like, you know, you didn't want to give up your house to just anybody. Yeah. You had a little bit of control in. Yeah. And you know that it found a new. You know, your home found a new home.
Yeah, that's true.
So. And
you're not just having people try to outbid each other just to battle for your home for money. You know, and you take the most money. You choose a price you think is fair for your house, and you deal with it then. And that's why the Japanese are very rigid in that sense with their value of things, because when you come in and try to lowball them, and you feel like you're disrespecting them, because they feel like the price they chose is the fairest as they could choose, right? Not everybody, but most people think like that. So, you know, like in other Asian countries, they raise it super high on purpose because they know the negotiator's going to come in. Yeah, they're going to know
that they're haggling back.
Yeah,
and that's
exactly. But Japanese don't do that. They don't think about that haggling section. They just price it what they think it is. You haggling means you really love the property or a place and you really want it, and then if they okay, we'll give it to you, kind of thing. So that's where it comes in.
Right. Because it can go in that direction.
Yeah.
The thing is, I think this extends to the tipping issue, because you know, generally they will not accept tips, and they will not let you leave money there. And I think there may be something built in that they want to have a sense of control over what they do, or who they, you know, what their output towards something else is, and that they decided it was on them to decide whether or not this went through or this happened. Yeah. Versus just like, okay, the other person is now fully empowered through the use of money to get what they want. Yeah. It still had to be, it was up to me to make sure that, you know, in the sense of, you could say, well, it's because of me, that person got that thing, versus that person just gave me the most money.
Yeah, I agree.
So it's an interesting thing. Those are like little cultural minutia, whatever.
I wonder if my battery's still working.
I don't know. Probably.
It probably died.
Yeah. It's over. Owarimasu.
Oh, it's holy crap! It's been 2 hours already.
Really?
That was an amazing interview. Wow. Well, we could do another 2, but
I could another 2, but you're not Rogan, so
yeah. All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.